You know, hello. I'm gonna have to get something more enticing for the dog because he doesn't seem like he likes hanging out in here while I'm streaming or in general. He seems to prefer to be in the hallway, and I'm wondering if like the temperature in here is like not the best temperature for him, or if like there isn't like a cushion. I did put his bed in here when I first moved into this room, and he wasn't into it. He didn't touch it. So maybe I'm gonna need to get him like a little puck couch or something. Hello, I'm glad I caught you before work. Hello, hi, hello, what's going on? I hope you guys all got the trigger warning about my hair. Apparently, everybody's mad about that. I don't know. Thanks, Athens, for the disclaimer. So I don't know. Oh, good lord. All right. So back to these two dumbasses. When we last left our heroes, it was thank God for Ronald Reagan or something. They seem to think that Ronald Reagan was like good or knew what he was doing or something like that. But then again, it doesn't surprise me that two posers think that somebody was an actor, knows what they were doing in politics. Now that's not to say that that actors should like whatever your job is should not preclude you from having conversations about your views in politics. Hey, Teddy, good to see you. So, okay, that shouldn't preclude you. However, when you have larger platforms, you obviously have more responsibility for what you say and how you say it, etc., etc., etc. Everybody knows that. I'm preaching the choir. So, Dumb and Dumber over here. Thank Gord for Ronald Reagan. Gordon my sport, dude. Alright, so are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? We are, for anybody who's curious about the timestamp, we are 2 hours and 55 minutes into this. We have 3 hours left. If it makes any of you feel any better, we were here for 3 hours last time, and the first hour of this video is just like dead air and looped music. It's like sitting on hold. So, I hope y'all are ready. Let's go. Oh, they're muted. What a shame. Oh, damn. Oh, that's too bad.
States. They deposit him in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed."
I forgot that he was talking like he was fucking Daffy Duck the whole time. I got used to it yesterday. First thing I hear, you mean the Trump admires the actor turned conservative politician who went senile in office and fucked up the country for everyone for decades? You get me, you know what I'm saying? You're channeling your inner Brett Keane. Oh, good lord. Here we go.
And they don't want to come back, but they won't come back.
Sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South America.
Well,
oh, that's right. We've been at this for nearly 3 hours, and they are still just talking about being racist and not understanding immigration. Got it.
Earth,
coming from
rest of
everywhere,
Earth, basically.
and there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth. It's just not.
It's all Earth, but we're only gonna mention places where there's brown people. Jessica said, "Have you heard of the cope around the slurring?" I have not. What is the cope? I've heard that like some people have said he's going senile. I've heard other people who say he wasn't wearing his dentures. Which is this?
Possible.
Well,
So
Elon, we're going to have
yeah.
to finish this up. We're going to have the largest deportation in history of this country, and we have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to have a country. What they've done to our country. Think of it with
drinking game. Every time they blame the mysterious they, right? Take a shot. I dare you. Does anybody know what the lowdown is on Elon stuttering and barely being able to string sentences together? What? No, Jessica, no, that's not what he's saying, is it? He's trying to say it with audio. It was audio. He said, guys, the DDoS attacked Trump's microchip in his brain and turned his tongue off. What the fuck? Yeah, we're gonna deport all these people somewhere under some policy through some vetting system. And the vetting system is just that Family Guy joke of like white to brown, okay, not okay, not okay, not okay.
In Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And you would be the same. You would have.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% put into the United States. The same with other countries.
Sure.
Some are at 30%, some are at 50%.
Oh yeah, the idea is that other countries just load up all their prisoners onto a plane and ship them to Mexico so they can try and make a break for the southern border.
They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of it?
Yeah.
And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. The first night they said, wow, one of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different...
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said, we can do it the nice way, or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him. Yeah.
Huh? Sorry, Puck wants inside the room now. Because there's no winning with Puck. The dog takes priority, obviously. Why are you whining? Why are you knocking on my door? Come on in. Come on, don't be shy. It's okay. Come on, you're not a dumb. Come on, Stinky. Yeah, there you go. Come on in. Good boy. You wanna come say hi? You can come say hi to everybody? You wanna come lay down here? There he is. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? You gonna lay on that blanket? Get all your doggy hair all over it? Yeah. Hi, old man. You're a good boy. Yes. Yes. Alright. Ping and pong over here. Go on, yes.
Oh, what they did with this guy. And I'm no fan of his. And he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine. And we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
Well,
and we wouldn't have had Afghanistan. But we think of it. You take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. We would also have inflation was caused by oil.
And Hitler would not have happened, and Russia would have won the space race. And do we know if Trump has his teeth? That seems to be the prevailing theory. Although you do realize that everybody is now going to have to change and relearn and adapt their Trump impressions now, right? You can't just speak like this anymore. Now you have to add this lisp into it. Fucking Christ, dude. I would love to know how, because they're not answering that question. They're just, LARPing about, oh, well, if I was that basketball player, I would have totally made that shot. Yeah? So would ya? Sure.
Yeah, no, no. I think you're making an excellent point here, which is that when other countries can, that are, are thinking about invading or doing bad things, when they're thinking about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do, and do they fear the American president, or is there someone they do not respect or and do not fear? And I think they would they rightfully be. I mean, look at that the footage of the assassination. They're like, okay, uh, President Trump is like,
Where's Billy Madison? The today, Junior? My goodness, are you kidding me? This is supposed to be like a put together conversation of like the greatest minds in America, and my good lord. Yeah, and the fact that it was only audio and got DDoSed attacked. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. Man, I don't even know what the fuck is Elon Musk even going on about?
don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden.
Trump was a laughing stock at the Paris Accords. In Canada, we laugh at Trump. There's only a handful of people that actually are like Trump supporters in Canada. There's not as many as social media might make you think. Most people are like, no, are you guys okay? Like, what is happening? Like, no, you're to other world leaders. Trump is a fucking joke. Let's be real. Nobody takes him seriously.
And they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security. That if the American president is someone that, like, evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world.
But Trump is friendly with the dictators. He's friends with Kim Jong Un. He's friends with Putin. He's friends with Winnie the Pooh, whatever his name is. So like, they're not afraid of him. Why would they? Or you think that they're only friends because there's a healthy amount of fear in there? Is that what you guys think friendship is? That's what you think that looks like? It's so weird. It's this toxic as fuck idea that good leadership is led through fear, which is, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, that's tyranny. That's what tyranny is, leading through fear. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept.
So I had a good relationship with Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and Adam Shifty Schiff.
I'm sorry, Russia hoax? You mean the Cold War? You mean that Russia did invade Ukraine? Those are things that happened, dude. Wait, what? Oh, as mentioned yesterday, that's abuse. Yeah, you right, generic.
Just bad people, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But, they put our country in danger with that stuff, too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't.
So is Trump explaining how he had advanced notice and information that Putin gave him that Putin was going to attack Ukraine and Trump did nothing? Did he share that very important information? Or is this just bullshit? This sounds like it's probably just bullshit.
Never do it. You know, I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah.
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and
This pathetic president gets in there. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm pretty sure I listened to this part already. I guess I got my timer off a little bit, but so I'm just going to skip forward like 10 minutes.
but they had no money,
Yeah.
and Israel would have never been attacked. It is zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation.
I said, no way, and he said, way, and we were like, hey. This isn't real. They postured this earlier as if it was like a normal conversation with them just being as normal as possible because, when you're in an interview or a hostile interview, you can't just be normal. If this is them normal, what in the fuck?
To stop that, it wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he.
Oh, right. Biden's stupid face saying things because Biden's the one that caused Russia to go into Ukraine or whatever. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Like, I covered this already, so I'm just jumping ahead a little bit because I got my numbers off. We actually already covered this hour, so if you want to watch this whole bit, go watch the other video.
Don't do a good job in their crime-ridden places. You wonder, how do they continue to just go on? It's not a good situation.
I think the only thing that's going to force some of these states to change is if they risk bankruptcy and they're not getting bailed out by the federal government.
Right. Well,
That's
you're
the
going
only
to
thing
have
that's going to
that.
get them to change.
You remember the area in California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers and they stole a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter, and it was very nasty for a period of time. But now it's probably the most popular place in all of California. So at some point, something like that may have to happen. But the problem is, you can't.
You understand that if you don't provide federal aid to a state, you're betraying the United States, contract. That's the whole point. You are the United States. That was the agreement that the states united. And so they pay into this. That's what taxes are. You pay into the government so that way when you need that money to be redistributed in a way that is functional for everybody, you can take the money out. That's how it works. So if the federal government doesn't bail out a state government, they're basically leaving the people of that state to go fuck themselves. Which is really interesting since these are both people who have taken government handouts for their businesses. Listen, I agree that the government, there are bailouts that the government has done in America and in Canada that I don't think should have happened. But they're all corporate bailouts, not leaving people to suffer because someone in their government stole from them, which is what Trump is suggesting here. Huh? How does that make any fucking goddamn sense? At least on their, yeah, that's a good point. It's on their part, they're not even paying the taxes in the first place. So, what the fuck? There you go. There we go. We got the citation needed. We'll just fucking stick it right there. Right there. There we go. We'll do that. That good? It just doesn't, this doesn't follow. They're basically saying that the government ought to betray the people that give the government. Isn't part of like the big thing about America is like for the people, by the people, right? That's like that's what the American government is like supposed to do and supposed to stand for. Oh yeah. No, they're on hour 3. Well, the first hour, I guess, doesn't count. The first hour and 45 minutes doesn't count, because that's all their DDoS attack that's allegedly happening. So we got 2 hours left of this 6-hour-long chunk of audio, 2 hours of which is nothing, and so far they have been repeating themselves about immigration and, like, they for 3 hours. 2 hours, I guess, if you don't count the first one.
Penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a Pritzker. Look, the family didn't want him in the family business. And then he ends up being governor of Illinois. So, you know what?
Government isn't business. They are not the same job. They are not the same thing. They don't utilize the same. Maybe some of the skill sets, like, can cross over, but a government is not business. They're not the same. Let alone, like, remember once upon a time allegedly something called business ethics existed? Like, that was a whole class. That was like a whole thing you would have to learn if you went into business, about like how to run a business ethically, right? And that's just slowly, like, you know, deteriorated over time. And neither of these probably, like, if you were to put either of these two on, like, Jeopardy or whatever, and they had to pick business ethics, they would be the laughing buffoon from Billy Madison.
Is he going to be a great governor? And, you know, you have people, I could name every one of them. I got to know every one of these, and some are very good and some are just horrible.
Well, I think that, I mean, the larger point here, too, you know, as you're saying, like, a lot of people are concerned about the economy, a lot of people are concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that save money,
Yeah.
and for people that are working day to day. It's just a form of taxation.
It is
And
not.
if we can solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and
Yeah.
that's a really big.
I almost feel like this, you know what, this whole thing is just reminding me of Billy Madison. This whole thing. You've got the little short guy with the coiffy hair and the other dipshit guy who's his, like, butt buddy, then they're the bad guys. Like, these two are the bad guys from Billy Madison. That's it. That's who they are. No offense to those actors. They did a fantastic job. But, like, this is the same fucking thing. They're just, like, explaining things incorrectly about the way business functions and, like, the way, like, they don't understand economics. It's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. And as we talked about yesterday, inflation itself is not inherently bad. It's the sign of a healthy economy. And I will say it again, and I will say it all the way to my grave. If you want to know how a country is doing economically, you don't look at it. You don't look at its overall net worth and gross income. You look at its working class, and you look at the power of that working class's dollar. How much are they worth? How much can they afford on their dime? That's how you decide about whether or not an economy is doing well. Duh. Trump sounds like he's that Looney Tune cat. You mean... No, Trump is not Billy. No, not Billy. The bad guy from Billy Madison. The bad guy. Not Adam Sandler. Sylvester. You're talking about Sylvester. Fluffer and Succotash. Just approximately Bulk and Skull ran their bit into the ground in later Power Rangers. Oh, come on. Bulk and Skull had, like, a character arc, though.
Well, the people that got hurt worst are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through.
Oh, please. Elon Musk tried to make a point that work from home was an ethical concern. And the ethical concern wasn't, bosses forcing employees to come in when they don't have to. No. It's like, well, not everybody's allowed to stay home from work, so why should you be allowed to work from home? That's an ethical problem. That's not fair. It's bullshit. He's a fucking idiot. He's a moron. Buffoon. Boosted bonobo. Sorry, there's an angry puppy outside. It's the neighbor puppy. It's the neighbor dog. She's very cute. I think she's sad because Puck's not outside right now. She missed her morning romp around with from the other side of the fence.
Their younger life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money and then they got no interest on their money and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. When I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years ago, when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at it's sticker shock.
I think it really.
It's sticker shock, says 2 people that have never had to pinch pennies at a grocery store or have any idea about the working class of America. Brilliant. Giga-brained. Ultra-brained. Naked Olympics are our best Olympics in the chat. Good name. We can't raise wage because prices will go up. The federal minimum wage has been stagnant since 1967, while prices have continued to rise. Wow, go figure. Did not Kamala Harris, by the way, recently introduce a bill to punish price gouging? Which was already a thing. There's a legal statute, if I understand correctly, in America. I don't know if it's in every state, but you're not allowed to price gouge during an emergency.
Really just come, like I said, I think it just comes down to really, I guess, two things, which is that if you solve government overspending, you solve inflation, which improves living standards of the average person.
How? Explain. Tell me, Elmo. How does that solve it? You're saying okay, listen. These types of problems. Oh, I need my Tim Pool hat. Sorry, I forgot my Tim Pool hat. This is politics. All right, listen. Listen, dipshit. Anybody out there, anybody who's watching this, okay? If somebody tells you that the way to solve a problem that's been like a systemic problem for a long time that is causing a large number of issues and a large number of people to suffer, the answer isn't going to be, oh, just do one thing. Things like this are never that simple. Anybody who says something like that is conning you. They want you to believe that that's true, and it's not, because they're selling you something. And right now, Elon Musk is selling you slavery. He's selling you getting taken advantage of. He's selling himself, he's just trying to make himself more money. Don't listen to these chuckle fucks.
And then if you deregulate, have sensible regulations. So because a lot of the regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to be extreme for no reason. But unless you've got effective deregulation, like Reagan did.
Extreme. Oh, here we go. This is where we left off. Reagan, because I was like, oh no, we're stopping at Reagan. Here's where we left off.
Did a great job on deregulation in the 80s, but it's been 40 years since we had anyone really. I mean, during your administration, we made some progress, but I think there's an opportunity to make, I think, radical progress with sensible regulation. And if
Elon,
those two things, those are the big deals.
We said
let's do more Reagan things because they worked really well. Trickle down economics. Whee!
Record, we did more deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other president. Remember, I had the rule for everyone we put in, you have to get rid of 10 or 12, and we.
government isn't a business. It's not structured like a business. It doesn't function like a business. This is like listening to people bitch that the mail system doesn't make money. Yeah, it's not supposed to. It's a service. It's not... Why don't these libraries bring in money? How are they gonna buy more books? You fucking jackass.
We did radical cuts on all of that, and a lot of that's being put back by this administration. And we did radical cuts on things that weren't necessary. But we were all set. You know, we had the best economy ever, maybe in the world. And then what happened is COVID came in, and we had to focus on that, and nobody knew what it was. And I
No, you didn't know what it was. In fact, you rolled back the protections that Obama put in place and the emergency stuff for something like that. And then you got blindsided. You know, maybe you should be happy that you've got more immigration stuff going on because you need to replace all the people you fucking killed.
I always say I got good marks on economy, good marks on military. We knocked out ISIS. We did so many different things. We rebuilt. But, you know, I never got the credit that we really deserved on what we did with COVID. We never got the credit. But we were, if
I'll give you the credit. Good job. You did the worst. Congratulations.
had that not happened, a gift from China, from Wuhan, came in from Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I always said it, and it turned out to be right. But had that not happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle-income people, not only businesses.
Oh, so now he admits that the tax cuts he gave were not for middle-class people and were for businesses. Uh-huh. Yeah? You think? Put that middle school hair. No, I like my middle school hair. Actually, I am going to cut it soon. It's too long. It's gotten too long. It's time to cut it all off again. Goodbye. What's funny is that Trump would have actually took care of the COVID situation. He probably would have won. Yeah, actually, you got a good point. If he had actually handled it properly, or even if he did nothing and just followed the procedures that Obama had put in place and then took credit for it, which is something that he's actually kind of pretty good at, taking credit for other people's shit. Just like Elon.
But we did it for businesses because they're the ones that's why we had the great job numbers. But we were set to really start reducing debt. And, you know, we're sitting on the biggest pile of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And we were going to drill, and we were going to make so much money. We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline, and we were going to supply them with oil and gas. We were going to make a fortune. And then
I said this yesterday, and I just want to be clear that this is the same thing I'm doing today. I am sure there are nuggets of truth to some of the things that they're saying if they're viewed or looked at under a certain light, and you can kind of maybe look to tie things together. The problem is there's a whole lot of bullshit for that little nugget of corn that's really not going to stand up for what any of this actually means or what they're trying to portray or do. Are you going to be able to find somebody who is an illegal immigrant who did a crime? Probably. Does that mean that Venezuela, which Trump said was doing amazing in their crime rate, which they're not, is the reason they're doing good in their crime rate is because they're taking their prisons and loading them up and sending them to America through the Mexico border, which is insane and like, what the fuck? So, like, you can find nuggets of truth because Venezuela's homicide rates have gone down and have been going down for the last handful of years, but that doesn't mean they're doing good. That doesn't mean they have an amazing crime rate. Like, plausible deniability is their entire wheelhouse. I mean, yeah. Wrong. There is no reality where America has more oil than Saudi Arabia. You've got a really good point. I'm going to need a citation on that one, Mr. Felon. Mr. Impeached ex-president.
the COVID came in, and we really had to divert. Then what happened is when they came in, we kept a lot of businesses alive. If I didn't do what we did, we would have had a 1929 type depression. But the problem is when Biden.
I'm sorry. Wasn't the depression we went through considered worse than the Great Depression? Twice? Am I misremembering that? I'm pretty sure I remember like a ton of the mainstream media telling us that the millennials have gone through Great Depression, the Great Depression twice when it comes to like the value of the dollar. The standard of living has gone up due to technology, which is nice. But maybe this just needs to be on the screen all the time. Maybe this just needs to be on a loop. What if I just put it on a loop? Maybe.
Came in, he got trillions of dollars and just started spending it stupidly. You didn't need it anymore. We got over that bad period where everybody was dying and feeling, it was just not a good period.
And so you were like, drink bleach. Gee, I wonder why people were dying. Say it, don't spray it.
Interestingly, during his administration, many more people died during his administration of COVID than during my administration, and we really got the brunt of it.
I was about to turn off the citation needed loop, and then I was like, nope, we're back to... Man, I'm about to get myself a fucking little notice on the bottom for COVID misinformation. Son of a bitch. Am I seeing correctly that the stamp has the text in Klingon in addition to English? Yes, you are seeing that correctly. This is, Dapper was kind enough, when he made this years ago, to send me the high-resolution copy.
But people don't realize more people died during his administration than ours. But it diverted us from doing what I wanted to do. But we had the greatest for, almost 3 years. We had the great, and you know that probably better than anybody. So many of your friends said to me, the best years we've ever had in business.
Now I really need the citation to just sit up there. I don't believe Elon Musk has friends. I don't believe that. That's not... There's no way. I don't believe that's true. Maybe he has, like, people of convenience that are around him, right? But in no way does this man have, like, legit friends. Because people who have friends aren't like this and know how to have regular conversations. At least amongst themselves. Then again, Trump also thinks he's friends with Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin, so, Hey, Feline.
Were during the Trump years, and also said that African American, Hispanic American were so incredible. They were having the best Asian American women, men, young people without a diploma, young people that graduated from the best colleges, from MIT, from the Wharton School, from all of the great colleges, Harvard. They were doing better, and people without a diploma were doing better, and everybody was happy. And then COVID came, and we had.
Yeah, everybody was happy before COVID while Trump was in office. Yeah. That's why there were so many posts that were like, "Damn, I wish there was a new plague." And then it happened and everyone went, whoops! I would love to see some Klingons show up and demand citations with a bunch of pain sticks. That would be funny. That would be amusing. I'd be there for that. Seeing these two try to confront, like, a Klingon or two it would be very amusing.
The problem is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. They wasted. They shouldn't have taken any money, and we wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is killing our country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should probably say something about
Inflation is not inherently bad. It's a sign of a healthy economy. It's like the volcano that we follow on Fridays. There's inflation events and deflation events. It's fine to have inflation, and even deflation is not inherently bad. It's when it's so far out of control and the gap is too big. It's only listen, you can only squeeze and push people so hard before they start revolting. And that, like, you can only hit people with a stick so many times before they hit you back. You can't just expect people to roll over and piss money at you as you beat them. Like, they're going to die, and a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to die. So, you know, it's almost like these people don't understand economics and don't understand what they're talking about. I said yesterday, I am not a very traditionally educated person. I dropped out of college and I dropped out of university, right? I am not, and the programs I was in an English class, and I was in a Bachelor of English, and I was in radio broadcast for a year. That, I didn't go and do fucking economics. I didn't even take the business course in high school. I probably should have. That would have probably been a good idea. Not that I think it would have helped me very much, to be honest. Whatever. Anyway, point being, even I can grasp these concepts. If I can grasp these concepts, you can grasp these concepts. But the fact that these two chuckle fucks think that you can't grasp these concepts and are going to continue talking to the American people like the American people can't grasp these concepts because they're not business-minded enough, especially people who are farmers, people who are middle-class Americans, people who are working and who are in the thick of these economic situations. Of course they're going to understand. People who run smaller businesses or work for themselves will understand these things. And Feline's right. There's a reason that Gen X and Gen Z are so pessimistic. They don't see a life where they can own a house. They don't see a future for themselves. They postpone having kids because finances. Millennials are the same way. None of these groups of people are going to be doing these things to uphold the standards that they're trying to uphold to maintain a system that's not working. And the system isn't working is because of people like this. Leeches who take and take and take and take and take out of the system and never put anything back into it. Capitalism functions, but it only functions if the people who are producing product and then selling product and then using that money to pay the workers to produce more product. The more one or two or three or five individuals like Elon Musk take that money out of the system, of the cycle that's working, it will slowly break down because he can only take so much out before the ball gets so small and it spins so fast that it collapses. Right? But you guys all know this.
Like, maybe my views on, climate change
Yeah.
and oil and gas, because I think they're probably different from what most people would assume. Because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy.
Nobody is vilifying coal miners. People are vilifying coal companies because they're evil.
And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving and the economy would collapse. So it's, I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry. And the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other countries.
Sure.
Why? Better for whom? In what way? Anybody who knows anything about energy cycles and anybody who knows anything about, like, the way, just general things function, there's no value in removing oil/gas in its entirety. It will have a place and it is necessary. The point is to reduce it in areas that it doesn't need to be. So, like, for example, these people have been talking about cutting costs and cutting prices and cutting this and cutting that. That's what we're trying to do with oil and gas. Cutting places where it doesn't need to be used. We don't have to have cities that are built around automotive. We don't have to have as many cars on the road as we do. They don't have to be using gas. And so what we do is we reduce and cut those areas by incentivizing utilizing other forms of electricity. Vilifying oil companies is about oil companies being fucking evil. All they have to do is stop being evil. That's not that hard. It's not that hard to not be evil. As an evil person, it's not hard to not be evil. So what you do is you just readjust the system. It's the same thing with like defunding the police. You defund the police doesn't mean don't fund the police at all. It means there are resources that are being allocated to the police and forcing the police to take on jobs that they ought not to be taking on, that they are not trained to do, and is putting additional stress on those individuals. So what we ought to do is reallocate those funds, defund the police, make sure that they are focused and trained to be doing the things that they ought and should be doing, and giving those resources and those monies to social programs that will fucking help the police and help the community. If you want an extreme thing, there are places that exist that don't have police, in like a militant police like America does, and they function just fine. So you do not changing the police into no longer being like more like a militant government force might be a more extreme view, but it really, like, half of that is just marketing. You know what I mean? Be evil, be gay, do crime. This is not legal advice.
And it would help with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not there for. It's not infinite. And there is some risk. I think the risk is not as high as you know, a lot of people say it is with respect to global warming. But I think if you
based on such as a lot of people, vagary.
If you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so
he thinks people don't know that? I think that's like general information that people know. If you word it that way, sure, maybe people wouldn't know if you were to ask them, like, hey, what happens to you at this percentage of blah, 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 blah. If you say, hey, what happens to you when you're not able to breathe? Well, they're gonna tell you, oh, you get lightheaded and you start to get dizzy and get nauseous. Like, that's not uncommon information, you fucking weirdo. He just thinks everybody's stupid because harder I used big word. Yeah, I don't want a dingus. This is like, you know what? Never mind. Just go.
We're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but. So there's not like we don't need to.
That's not the only factor, dipshit. It's not like that's not. Why does he think that adding more CO2 to the air is the only factor, and not being able to breathe good is the only factor? Is he the bad guy from Spaceballs? Is he Mel Brooks' character from Spaceballs who's gonna be like selling and like sniffing fucking Purina air or whatever the fuck? Like, what does the same guy that tried to put a train inside a tube? You mean the guy who tried to pretend he invented the subway and then failed at it? Bro Muskrat would flunk an undergrad biology. Yes, yes. I'm pretty sure he would flunk grade 8 based on that explanation. He wouldn't be able to pass an essay about like what is global warming or what are the major factors of global warming and why. Like what are the main concerns? Cuz here's the thing. Here's an additional fun fact. If global warming wasn't going to hurt us as humans, right? If we were like, it's fine, we can survive in CO2, who gives a shit? That would not make what the oil companies is doing ethical. Because it's already still not ethical for other reasons and other factors, mostly exploitative ones. Could you miss the point any harder? No, you're a billionaire tech CEO who has pretend money, pretending he's rich and pretends he's successful. You're a LARPer. You have turns out your knowledge is pretend too. Go figure.
To rush, and we don't need to stop farmers from farming or you know prevent people from having steaks or
Right.
basic stuff
Right.
like that. Like you can leave the farmers alone.
Good point, Don. But you did know what I was talking about.
I agree.
In
How
my
crazy
opinion.
is that where
I mean,
you have farmers that are not allowed to farm anymore and have to get rid of their cattle and the whole world is
yeah,
a
that's
little
silly.
crazy, but
Bitch, where? What are you farmers aren't allowed to farm anymore? Did they ban farming? Is there litigation against farming? There's litigation against raising livestock? No. There's rules and regulations around those things, a lot of which were put in place to fuck over farmers. Like, regulations about seeds and pesticides and things like that. You want to talk about that? No. I don't believe either of these fuckers know anything about farming. Elon doesn't even know how to wear a cowboy hat right.
it's largely taken its lead from us. I do say, though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric car, fossil fuel is what really creates that at the generating plants. And
Is fucking Trump calling out Musk for his electric cars not really being electric right now? That's kind of fucking hilarious. That's kind of very funny. Side note, we could theoretically make fossil fuel. Like, we know what the conditions are, and we know that it's biodegradable matter, and we have that. But don't tell these people, because they're probably gonna wanna let's take all the immigrants and put them in an old quarry pit and turn them into fossil fuels, then they can be useful to the country. Like, that's the kind of shit these people would fucking do. And this is the kind of shit these people would fucking say. So don't tell them that. Don't tell them that we probably could make fossil fuel. And it would be renewable. It would be bad. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to do that. But we could take, like, all the bones from, like, burger cows and, like, I feel like that's, like, we could fabricate making fossil fuels and then, like, just tap it like it's a fucking cake. Like, there would obviously be, like, logistical issues about how exactly you would go about doing that, but
so you sort of can't get away from it at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to, but I do hear we have anywhere from 100 to 500 years left. Much of it hasn't even been found yet.
Yeah.
But there are tremendous, like Anwar. I got Anwar in Alaska approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove it to get rid of it. He ended
Yeah.
it. His secretary went in and she ended it. And what a disgrace. That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be bigger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. But they went in and they terminated it. And I'll get it going very quickly because
does he understand that there are, like, we understand enough about geology to figure and decide and know where things are under the Earth's surface, as well as have like pinging technology. We don't have 100 years of fossil fuel left. I mean, but do we have 500 years of CO2 we could pump into the air and still have enough oxygen? You could generate it from stuff like algae. Yeah, you definitely could. You could generate fossil fuel. You could make it. Which is why it's a good idea to reduce the usage. Right? Okay, so hear me out. So Jessica said I was cooking. Let me cook. All right, let me cook for a minute. Here's what would make sense to me, right? Let's say that we start reducing what things, like say you need to have a permit to apply to use fossil fuels in your industry or your business or whatever it is that you're using, right? So let's call it oil, right? Say it's oil. And we're like, okay, well, we need it to produce this particular type of plastic or that particular, or run this particular type of generator that we keep on the space station for reasons or whatever, right? So you can apply to still have an amount allocated to you and your business, and you have to pay money for it to the government, whatever, right? To buy the oil. And then what we do is we then, if we can reduce it to that type of usage, it then it extends the amount of time that we have left with the oil that we currently have access to, and stretches out how quickly that CO2 and the fumes are going into the atmosphere, thus elongating the time, because fossil fuels is a natural part of the cycle, right? So we just reduce our emissions, right? And so by doing that, it gives us time to develop the technology that we would need and a system in place where we can do the math and be like, okay, this will work, we can afford up to this much fossil fuel being pumped in the atmosphere due to greenhouse, blah, 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 blah. And obviously scientists would have to do the math on this. I'm not going to do it. I do art. And then you say, okay, well, we can allocate this much, and then it turns into a bidding war. Which company needs it for what thing and why? And each country gets to be allocated a certain amount, a certain budget based on their population, right? So, or based on X, Y, and Z factors. Probably more than just population, but whatever, based on the industry. So then you have governments that own the fossil fuels that's being produced to then sell to the companies that have a permit allocated up to a certain spending cost. And then there you go. And you have ostensibly infinite fossil fuels used in a regulated way, so they're not going to damage the environment, the people, and the destroy everything, right? And it turns fossil fuel into a regulated, high-valued product that can be produced by any country, theoretically, provided they have the infrastructure and what they need to actually be able to do it. And they have the recipe, right? We need to farm more algae anyway, because we need algae to take the CO2 out of the air and can fix our nutrient cycle by restoring coral and getting algae. It's almost like, if you want conservatism, that would be that. That would be what that is. You instead of having the government, like, be a burden, oh, people have to suffer. Okay, well, what if the government forces everybody to have a algae farm on the side of their house that faces the sun, and everyone is required to produce an amount of algae every month that has to be submitted to Big Brother Trump? How about that? Does that work? Everybody gets an algae wall, you get an algae wall, and you get an algae wall. Nah, let's just waste it. People won't need it for niche things in the future, right? It's this weird talking point that people who are like, hey, no, I know you're kidding. Hey, fucking, people just want to get rid of all fossil fuels. It's like, no, people want to get rid of fossil fuels in their day-to-day life because it's not good and it doesn't help them and it's bad. It's a bad time. And oil companies fucking suck. Mandatory cubic feet of algae. Only if Mexico pays for the algae. Fucking Christ, dude. Oh my god, alright.
Not only is it big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic development, that for the United States, I mean, that is, they say bigger than Saudi Arabia or the same size, and pure, really good stuff. And, you know, they end it. So I think.
Have your villagers produced their cubic mile of algae this month, my lord? Yo, I produce enough algae just by having like a dog. I got a kiddie pool for my dog to put outside. Algae gets in that shit like instantaneously. I barely even have to fill it. If I fill it once and then leave it out, and it's just like lined with fucking algae, and then I just have to like let it rain in there. The only thing I really don't like about that is every time it rains, there's a bunch of baby mosquitoes, and I'm like, oh fuck that shit. But you know, whatever. Hey, Command, how's it going?
We have, you know, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows, but during that time, something will come around that will be very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my estimate would be, you know, a little more.
Pibblepunk says, I would like to be on the record that I'm 100% for eliminating fossil fuels. We literally don't need them if giant corporations would get out of the way of progress. I would agree with that. However, I think that eliminating anything 100% is not usually effective. I would suspect, like, I agree with you, and right, I think that fossil fuels need to be eliminated from the corporate world. I think fossil fuels need to be eliminated from essentially what's the word? Your day-to-day life. I think and would suspect that fossil fuels can still be utilized for different purposes, just not the way we're currently just being wasteful douchebags about it. Either niche things, niche production of certain like things, as well as like research purposes, etc., etc., etc. So I 100% I usually don't buy into, but like basically I'm basically on the same page. I would just slightly move it down to, can we like eliminate it 99.999%? Counterpoint, plastics are very useful. Yeah, but we got other ways to do that. We can make there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? You can get plastics and get like the equivalent of in other ways, right? There are like certain, you can thank capitalism for that, There are certain types of plastic that are, like I said, niche. We don't need that plastic in our day-to-day, right? And we can be equally as efficient and equally as lazy using something besides plastic. A lot of people will argue that hemp will work for a lot of this stuff. I don't know, I haven't done the math, and I'm not gonna, but I haven't looked it up to see if somebody smarter than me has done the math. But I suspect somebody has. But I don't know how much plastic you could remove from the system by replacing it with other product. Also, we could just not have some things. There are some things that we have that we don't need. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like look at my setup right now. Right? So this, you guys are plastic. This has got a lot of plastic. This is metal. Right? The outside of the computer, that's plastic. That doesn't need to be plastic. This could be something else. Right? This is wood. Right? We don't need plastics here. You just see what I mean? So, like, a lot of this stuff could be replaced by other product. We also have a really big problem with this idea of mass production. So, like, it's really bad, particularly with clothes. Like, this is Old Navy. Mass production is a problem, specifically with clothes, because literally nobody is comfortable. No clothes fit anybody. It's terrible.
Aggressive than that, but it's not the sort of like we're all going to die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS. Um, but I mean, my view is like if you just look at sort of the parts per million that increments every year, you get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. Uh, I mean, I think some of that it's problematic if it accelerates if you start going from two or
Right.
three to say 5, and then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm because like that's actually makes it uncomfortable to breathe. Like just existing in 1,000 ppm CO2 is uncomfortable. That's like that's considered like an industrial hazard.
Right.
Just
You mean like you would need to wear a mask? You know, Elon, we're not the only things on the planet, and we're not the only things on the planet that fucking matter to sustain life on the planet just because we're mildly uncomfortable. Idiot, moron, buffoon, tool, dipshit.
so it's that's actually you start getting headaches and stuff. So it's even without global warming.
Don't pretend that you care about people in the industry, by the way. You guys are the people that are rolling back safety and union shit to make sure that people are, like, safe in their work environment.
It's not comfortable to look at. So you don't want to get too close to that. But I mean, I think we've got. I think we want to just move over and like, and if I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, we're I don't know, mostly sustainable. I think that'll probably be okay. Um, so it's not like the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is.
The only reason the house isn't literally on, well, the house is on fire, but the only reason the house isn't burned down all the way is because scientists and people who matter and people who care have been putting in the work to make sure that it doesn't. There are projects right now of people farming and trying to replant coral reefs. There are boating areas that have been restricted to any kind of boats or any kind, like motorized vehicles, to protect different areas, as well as conservation areas, as well as massive efforts to plant trees, as well as massive efforts into like just science to enable us to do that. These people are the people standing in the way of those things. Right? So, for example, what do you want me to show? What do you got here? What are you sending me, Feline? Hemp, the future of plastics. Plastic is the world's most adaptable material, from bikes to food wrap, and from jets to pencils. You can make anything and everything from plastics. With the infinite number of uses, plastics also has some devastating impacts on our planet. Most plastics produced today are made using petroleum-based compounds that release harmful gases into the atmosphere. Waste solutions are insufficient, and harmful byproducts byproducts toxic are land, water, and wildlife. Yet consider the possibility that there was a way to deal with, deliver the greater part of what we utilize causes a negative effect greenhouse impact, is sustainable and biodegradable, and has just about an indistinguishable cost to our present techniques. Meet hemp plastic, an only plastic that is 100% biodegradable in nature if produced by using only hemp plant. Hemp plant consumes 4 times more carbon dioxide than other plants from the atmosphere. The fiber we can produce from hemp is stronger than the conventional fiber we are using these days. This paper is intended to show numerous benefits of using hemp for manufacturing of biodegradable plastic, hemp plastic, rather than conventional plastics. Wow, remember when I said somebody probably did the math? Look, they got pie charts and Venn diagrams. Wow. Pretty awesome. But yeah, I don't, is anyone surprised? Is anybody surprised? He's a billionaire. He literally cannot conceive of a world separate from his own personal experience. Yeah. There is no such thing as a good billionaire.
something we need to move towards. And on on balance, it's probably better to move there faster than slower. But like I said, without vilifying the oil and gas industry, and without causing hardship in the short term, I think this can be done. Um,
You two are causing hardship in the short and the long term. Idiot.
without people can still have a stake, and they can still drive gasoline
Sure.
cars, and it's okay. It's like it's not. I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally lean in the direction of sustainability.
I really don't know if it was a slap that Elon just kind of slapped Trump back for kind of shitting on his Tesla there for bringing up stakes to Trump. Did anybody else catch that? Was that just me? Do you think that was supposed to be an insult? I did talk about Mr. Beast on Friday, and I talked about him last Friday, and I talked about him. Oh, we were talking about him in the Discord. I'll do an update soon about some of the Mr. Beast stuff, because I do have some more thoughts about it. I don't remember how I talked about it. We were talking about it in the Discord, but I don't know if I talked about it live. So I'll come back to that more soon.
And I actually think solar is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way.
Me and Monia and Dapper and Landon actually did a video where we talked about some of the problems with solar. And it wasn't to say that there's no solar. The problem is solar companies that were providing and building and selling solar panels went bankrupt and did some sketchy shit. I would recommend checking out. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. It was kind of fuckety. But I'll put a link to it.
And so you get the solar power, combine that with batteries. So because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night, and then you use that to charge the electric cars, and you have a long-term sustainable solution. And that's what Tesla's trying to move things towards, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard. But when you look at our cars, we don't believe that environmentalism, that caring about the environment should mean that you have to suffer. So we make sure that our cars are beautiful, that they drive well, that they're fast, they're sexy. I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally.
What the fuck? Teslas aren't cool. They literally catch on fire. Like, what are you talking about? What is this dude on about? Like, it's oh no, it's not cool enough. Oh no, it's not sexy, and therefore it's bad, and it's suffering if it's not one of those things. Like, what are you on about? This is just marketing. These are market buzzwords, not actually, like... And they're subjective. Right? Like... whatever. What a weirdo. Fucking dumbass fucking... Listen, there's a difference between sacrificing and being reasonable. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are not reasonable. They're excess. They think... They would think that if they had to live in a one-bedroom apartment, it would be suffering, right? But they're totally fine to let other people do that. People directly under their employment, that they allow to suffer, so they can have money that they're never going to spend because they can't. Because there's nothing to spend it on. This is stupid. It's really dumb.
I mean, the sexy joke, Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Y spells out sexy. It was probably the most expensive joke out there. But I don't know. I like cheesy humor, So, but I'm not.
The secret answer, by the way, to solving the energy crisis is a little bit of everything. By the way, wind energy is still good, valid, valuable. Water turbines still good, valuable. Turbines done through other things, like just generating energy from turbines, is still good and valid and valuable. Adding solar into it, still using a little bit of fossil fuel here and there as we wean ourselves down. Like, that's the suffering they're talking about. Nobody's talking about, oh, we're just gonna turn off the faucet for fucking fossil fuel. That's not gonna happen. That's not even feasible. So I don't know why they're pretending that that's even an option. What it is like slowly lowering things. Like, I mean, Canada's been doing that. That's what the Paris Accords were about. The place where Donald Trump fucking embarrassed himself? Yeah, that.
a big fan of like let's have an inspiring future, and
Yeah.
let's work towards a better future, and we can do so without demonizing
Right.
people.
I think that nuclear power is totally fine and viable. It's just a matter of being able to produce it and set it up properly. And it's one of those things that is better to start it now and advance it now than not do it at all, because even if it's not going to no singular energy source is going to solve all of our problems. So adding solar and wind and nuclear, all of them together, is good. Like, that's what we should be doing, right? So I mean, Canada has a handful of nuclear plants, and they're fine. They've never been an issue. So I think you can still do it. Yeah, I think you guys can still do it. I don't see why America can't just being a little bit behind doesn't really mean it's too fission. Yeah, we also did a video talking about fission and fusion, right? I'll go get the link to that one too. You can check it out.
I'm okay. It's very interesting. You use the word global warming, and today they use the word climate change because, you have some places that go up and stuff. So they were getting themselves in a little trouble with.
Calling it global warming versus saying the climate is changing is the same thing. They're the same thing. It was just a branding change because people like you are too stupid to get it.
The word global warming, because not every place is warming. Some places are going the opposite direction. But I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars. And it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first. But it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces, on certain surfaces.
Hey, I hate to be the Debbie Downer here. Jessica's got a good point. America doesn't have the infrastructure for nuclear, and that's a problem. Building the infrastructure would create jobs. And I'm not saying that to Jessica. I'm saying that to the America, the whole. Introducing and attempting to build and set up with all of that would create jobs, which would help your economy and your inflation problem, guys. Yeah, I don't mean you can't, Sorry, guys.
Surfaces might be good.
Yeah.
At least in certain areas of the country where you have the world,
Sure.
where you have the sun. But I would think, and I have no idea because that's not my world, but I would think that this would be something that would be interesting. But the one thing that I don't understand is that people talk about global warming or they talk about climate change, but they never talk about nuclear warming. And to me,
Sure.
that's an immediate problem.
Nuclear warming? Why? Because of your dick measuring contest with Kim Jong-un?
Because you have, as I said, 5 countries where you have major nuclear, and probably some others are getting there, and that's very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American president, because you don't want to have this proliferation. But you have
What?
5 countries, and
Oh, no, I refuse to accept that Donald Trump knows what the word proliferation means. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. That's fake news.
getting more. China is much less than us right now, but they're going to catch us sooner than people think. They're way lower. Russia and us are number 1, and I mean, we're sort of tied. And China is far behind, but they're developing at a level that you're not.
Okay, so I see that Chad is discussing this option of having solar panels being laid flat along the ground and being like utilized in parking lots. We could put parking lots on an angle. Parking lots don't have to be flat. You could, at least not like parallel to the ground flat. You could angle the parking lots. You know what that would create? Jobs. You could also, have your parking lots be like quote unquote kind of like underground parking lots, so they're like lifted up a little bit and angled, and then you just park underneath. I don't know. I'm just spitting ball right now. You're playing Fallout New Vegas? Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, you can. That's what I was just getting at. Angle the roof of parking lots. One of the things that baffles me, maybe it's just me, I do not understand. I pitched this idea because I thought it would be a fun project, and I never went anywhere with it, and I probably should. So hear me out, okay? I'm getting a little bit detracted right now, but these two are fucking stupid, and I would rather talk about solutions and potential policies and things that can be put in place rather than listen to two fucking dumb fucks complain. These are boomers complaining. That's all this is. Hear me out. I like this idea. And I think there would be some structural things that would need to be adjusted. But I think every school, most schools in Canada at least, their roofs are flat. Right? There's like a lip, it goes in and then it's flat. And then you've got like your air conditioner and stuff up there. Right? But that's a whole lot of space that's not being utilized. Right? That's a lot of space that's not being utilized. So hear me out. Greenhouses. Can we not put greenhouses on the tops of schools? And then, like, particularly grade school, like K to 8 schools? And then you would be able to have, like, the kindergartners learning about chlorophyll and plants and shit, and, like, the production of food on the roof. And then, like, as the kids get older, they start doing different things. So the kindergartners get to tour the place. The first graders get to start the little seedlings and get them grown and then plant them. And then the third graders are taking care of them. By fourth grade, you're learning about the nutritional effects of the food and harvesting it, and the fifth graders are building menus, and the sixth graders are cooking the food, so that way there's lunch menus and lunches. Seventh and eighth graders are learning about like the economics of what they could take and distribute versus the number of children that are actually at the school, so, and running the program to then utilize to give to like food banks. And like how much they would need to produce versus how much, like, that you can have an entire, like, the whole system taught to you in real time over your school career. Would that not be a cool idea? It would make it possible to provide healthy lunches to kids. The kids are interested in eating healthier food because they were involved in the production of it. And maybe you can have a chicken coop outside and you can do like morning egg collection or something, and then like taking care of the chickens, and you could have you see what I'm saying? Does Scandinavia do that? I mean, call it child labor and we can get MAGA on board. We're gonna get these kids to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and become one with people of the land, so that way they can do farms. Okay, hear me out. I got another idea. 2, and it involves trees. Okay, so I don't know if this will work this would not work everywhere, right? Not all of these things. The greenhouse thing you can kind of do everywhere, right? Because it's a greenhouse. But you can't really do this one everywhere. This one involves like more orchard planting. But I do not see why schools, which all of them have some kind of like outdoor area, like public schools, all have to have like an outdoor play area. Why would those outdoor play areas not have like an apple tree and a pear tree? At minimum. At least one. Because you'd be amazed at how much apples come out of a fucking apple tree. A dickload. A dickload. My mom has one apple tree in her backyard, and she's constantly like, get the fuck these apples out of here. She sends home like bags of apples, like pounds of apples from one tree. So like you go to a school and you plant like 2 or 3 apple trees. They don't all have to be the same kind of apple tree. You take care of the tree, kids get apples. Free fruit. And like I guess I can understand that it's like, oh well, this is like the maintaining something like that is difficult. Just let the fucking kids maintain it. Like, what do you mean? If an apple falls on a kid. What if a kid falls on a kid? That's stupid. That's dumb. Yeah, an almond tree, right? Like you like it shouldn't be that difficult, right? No? Like, and so if that's the case, I don't know why, like, most places, at least in Canada, when you're driving down the road, there's this easement, right? So there's road, and then there's a curb, and then there's the easement, and then there's the sidewalk, and then there's like usually a little bit of space, and then property, right? So this easement is usually grass, and you, homeowner, are expected to take care of that easement. So you have to shovel it, you have to, like, if you got grass there, or you've got plants, certain types of plants there, you gotta mow it and whatever. Your job to take care of it, even though you don't technically own it. Why would you not have apple trees and pear trees planted every like X number of houses? So let's say like every 10 houses. And like I can understand why you might be like, oh well, garbage pickup and roadside cleaning and stuff would be really, really bad. It's like, well, not if the homeowners are expected to take care of the trees, right? They would be in charge of like basic pruning and cleaning up of the apples. And yeah, you're gonna get people who aren't gonna do it, but whatever. There are already people. The city already plants crab apple trees. So if they already plant crab apple trees, why wouldn't you pick something that people might be more interested in eating? And then like just have like just put a pot in the middle of town and take all the apples that nobody's using and fucking throw them in the pot and make like this big ass fucking pot of applesauce. And like anybody who wants applesauce can just go and get some fucking applesauce. You know what I mean? Yeah, I guess almonds are a little bit tricky because of like, maybe you can do almonds in the high school. You wouldn't be able to do almonds in like the little kids' school. Why does learning about agriculture trees require a field trip for kids in a city? Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because then the homeless will be able to eat for free. Oh no, what a shame. I don't get it. I don't get it. This doesn't make any sense to me. None of this makes any sense to me. Alright, I'm gonna hit play on this. Let's look at these two idiots. Like, I'm just presenting, like, obviously there are logistic and budgeting things that would have to go into doing a project like this, as well as like construction, which would, create jobs. You can actually get the kids that are like the teenagers that are in high school in the tech programs to design and build the greenhouses on the local public schools. Get them some experience, let them work on something, let them invent some cool looking fucking greenhouses. And like every couple years, replace the greenhouse, have the greenhouse replaced by the schools, and be like, hey, here's the one that exists right now, improve it, or like what can you do to it to make it better, and let them do the project, right? Like obviously if they're gonna fuck it up, you don't let them complete the project, right? You go, okay, well, this isn't gonna work, here's what you need to change, and you mark them based off of that, and then you let them change and build the project, right? Like, this whole thing is self-sustaining. It's not like there's not a budget for high schools to have access to wood and shit for, like, construction materials for their classes, so just utilize that. Am I the dumb one? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Surprised to hear, very fast. They'll end up catching up. Maybe even surpassing. But to me, the biggest problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so great. And when I talk
Yeah, yeah.
about
Nuclear power is underrated. It's
I'll
awesome.
prevent World War
Yeah.
III,
Oh,
I will. But the truth
okay.
is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
Yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and actually, there's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think,
They actually think nuclear energy and nuclear war are equivalent because they use the same word. That's how dumb these people are. That's how stupid they think people are who are listening to them. Unreal.
um, nuclear electricity generation is
Absolutely. You're
underrated,
right.
and it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding.
A huge and where did that misunderstanding come from? Tinker Toy? Do you know? You fuck nugget? You absolute fucking buffoon. You literally just did. Trump just did the thing, and you're like, yeah, people just don't understand this. Nobody's ever seen before. Some people in Japan would beg to differ. Yeah, right.
Um, and if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining
Right.
operation, and there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually,
Yeah, one of the things that's very interesting here is they are actually actively disagreeing with each other, but they're pretending they're not. Right? They're actually just making vastly different points from each other and not actually acknowledging that something the other one said was wrong or that they disagree. They're just avoiding those words and that terminology. So they're just pretending they're getting along and agree on things, but they actually don't. Because they want to act like they're getting along so they can maintain power, because that's what this is about. It's about fascism.
way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done. So that
Maybe they'll have
sort
to
of
change the
have it,
name. The name is just, it's a rough name. There are some areas
yeah, it's a rough
when
name.
you see what happened in
Good bad
right.
branding. The
We have
branding.
to
Elon, don't talk about bad branding with your Twitter, currently known as X. Also, why do you think that happens? Is it education? Like, there are answers to these things that you're just throwing out there.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something. No, it has it has a branding problem. When you see what happened,
It does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where they, there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in
Did Trump forget Chernobyl? He was trying to say Chernobyl.
2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land again. You realize it's pretty bad.
No,
But
that's not true.
but you're
Well,
right
no,
about it. It's amazing.
it's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima happened in Japan.
Guys, Chernobyl wasn't that bad. It's actually not that bad. Nagasaki, not that bad. What the fuck? Bro, it devastated. Japan was devastated. Are you fucking for real?
And like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's actually it's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it. Um, and and I donated a solar water treatment, a solar powered system for a water treatment plant. And
Yeah, but you haven't
because the
been
danger
feeling
is
so
just
well lately, and I'm worried about it.
no, but I mean
I'm
it's just
only kidding.
it's
I'm only
fine,
kidding.
it's
Elon hasn't been feeling so well recently? Why is that? Chernobyl is in Ukraine. Listen, we can't get into that. Don't send them back to talking about Ukraine again, please.
It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So
Right.
it's
Well, that's
really
great.
not
That's
something.
Do I really need to pull that up? Do I really need to talk about like the development of Fukushima? Oh, god damn it. Fukushima accident. Oh no. 2011 at Fukushima Daiichi, #1 plant in North Japan, the second worst nuclear accident after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Oh no. Oh no. Yikes. Not what I was looking for. Let's go with after World War II, right? How deadly lessons from Fukushima changed Japan. Journalist crisis expert HKS event says that it shifted nation's attitude toward military global sense of need to prepare for unexpected disasters. Like, ugh. Okay. Let's just keep going.
Thing that
That's right.
so it's not as scary as people think, basically.
Yeah.
But let's see. I mean, are there some other?
They were literally already talking about how bad nuclear war would be, and now they're like, it's not that bad. It's not as scary as everybody would imagine. Why? Because you don't think it would hit you?
Topics we should touch on. Like lawfare. I think
Well,
we need to be concerned about
what they've done to this country.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just won the big
I mean,
case in Florida. This was a Biden administration did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this nonsense and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won, but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use the local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, Fani, spelled Fani.
You mean they follow the law and utilize the people whose jurisdiction it is to determine that? Okay. Does Musk have a bunker like Zuckerberg? Probably.
Fani, and it's all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before,
Sure.
and they set up a very bad precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare. It's a terrible thing, and never happened in our country. It does happen in banana republics and third world countries, but it's never happened. And
if you want to talk about like a political opponent, blah 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 blah, and then you want to start talking about banana republics, you need to start talking about the CIA, but I think you're too stupid for that.
The incredible thing is it actually drove my numbers up because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or
Sure.
in all fairness, like a conversation like this.
They said at the beginning they were being canceled and nobody was paying attention to them or listening to them, and now it's like, oh, people are listening and my numbers are up and I have freedom of speech. His Truth Social, by the way, has been losing money, lots of it.
Where I can talk about it and people understand. I mean, you fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore.
That's not what happened. Come on. We all know that's not what happened. We all know. Everyone knows. That's not what happened. You weren't fighting for election integrity. You were lying about the election integrity. Come on, and trying to infringe upon the election integrity.
So what happens? What
Yeah.
happens is they went after their political opponent, me. Now Biden's, close to vegetable stage, in my opinion. Okay, I looked at him today on the beach, and I said, why would anybody allow him? The guy could barely walk. Why would anybody allow him? Does
Yeah.
he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good?
I would love if Biden, once the election is either over or once he is once the election probably is over, I would think it is hilarious if Biden sues Trump for defamation. That would be very funny. That would be very funny. That is not outside of the realm of possibility, because if Kamala Harris wins and Trump is not president and Biden is no longer president, it would be very funny to see him sue for see him sue for defamation.
He thinks this looks good because it looks so bad, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing that for a long time. He can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children.
Bro is literally still stuck on his Biden rhetoric because he was so unready for Biden to step down.
And old people to lift, and he can't lift it. The whole thing is crazy.
Well, he's clearly. He's clearly like we just don't have a president right
you
now.
don't
That's
have a
just obviously
president,
the
and
case.
she's going to be worse than him because she.
Is the country functioning? Is there still policies being put forward? The government was shut down multiple times under Trump. The government was not functional. It did not function while he was there. Literally, like not even figuratively. So what are you talking about?
Is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the original DA. She was the original in San Francisco. She was the original Attorney General in California.
Honestly, if Kamala Harris was able to do that, I'd be kind of impressed, because from my understanding, district attorneys don't have that kind of power. Like, don't get me wrong, they have power and they can do fucked up shit. And I suspect that Kamala Harris did fucked up shit, like, putting people in jail who didn't need to be in jail. But that's a different conversation.
What she has done to California is, well, you know better than I do. You just left California for a lot of those reasons. And what she's done.
Elon Musk left California because of decisions made by a district attorney? What? Kamala was weak on crime. Ask the people she sent to jail for simple marijuana possession. Yeah. That she needs to do something about that, in my opinion. But right now, she'd probably be better to for political purposes, it'd probably be smarter for her to double down on it and be like, yeah, no, I'm tough on crime and I was against this and did this, this, and this, and probably get a lot of the fucking conservative, the leaning conservative vote. Well, the Democrats are the Dems are going to be like, well, we're voting for you anyway, as long as you're not saying you're going to implement this again, right?
With crime, with cashless bail, where you kill somebody. I mean, we have states there you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't have to even put up, and then they never find the people unless.
Bitch, where? For example,
they kill again and then they let them out again. Our country is becoming a very dangerous place. And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal. And now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible. But she wants to be more Trump than Trump.
Yeah.
I want a wall.
I think that's.
She wants to release all the prisoners that are in detention. And some of these guys are really bad.
Right.
That just came out today. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to build the wall, even though the walls work. Walls and wheels. You know, in your business, everything you do is obsolete, almost, well, not the tunnels, but everything is
No, the tunnels definitely are obsolete.
obsolete. Even your rocket ships, they're like a month later, they're obsolete. You find a better way to. The only thing that's not obsolete is a wall and a wheel. And the wall, you know, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and that's why we had such good numbers.
Everything Elon Musk builds is obsolete according to Donald Trump. Letty says she wants to release all these prisoners like I did with my pardons of my cronies. Honestly, if Kamala Harris goes ahead and releases all the people that were what I would say unfairly arrested during her tenure and after her tenure, I would be very impressed. Like that we're wrong. I think that was like the big war on crime or the big war on drugs thing was a whole bunch of bullshit, right? So if she turns around and is like, yeah, that was wrong, and releases those people and like gives them some kind of reparation, I would actually be very impressed.
I was going to add 200
Yeah.
miles. We bought it. We could have flipped it up in 3
I thought Mexico was gonna buy it. I thought Mexico was gonna pay for it. What do you mean you bought it?
weeks, and they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. That meant, I said, wow, that means that they actually do want to have open borders. She wants to have open borders, and now she's going like she's tough on the border.
Oh no, he thinks open border means literally, like it needs to literally be closed off by a wall. He actually thinks that open borders means physically, literally open or close. Oh no. Oh, who's the person with dementia again?
It's such a lie.
Yeah. This is simply not true.
Yeah,
This is simply
no,
not
and
true.
everybody
Yeah,
knows
it's
it's
simply not
not true.
true.
It's a disgrace that she can
Yeah.
say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when
You literally just tried to say that Nagasaki and Fukushima weren't that bad. you, who's the man said clean coal. Yeah. Who's rewriting history of what? God. Remember when I said no wonder Elon Musk got in trouble for fucking spreading false information in the EU? I can't imagine how that happened.
in fact she is far left, like far, far left.
Worse than Bernie
Um,
Sanders. She is considered
yeah,
more liberal by
Man, I wish.
far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to be our president, very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all of
yeah,
the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking, zero. You don't. Now all of a
yeah,
sudden
yeah,
she's
yeah.
saying, no, I will. I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the day she got in, she'll end fracking. And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, uh, they won't vote for her. You know, like like the
Yeah.
Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. You know, both sides. That was a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. Unification.
That's kind of funny. Yeah, people were not impressed at the way Biden was handling Israel and Palestine. No surprise there. And what did people do? They pressured Biden by saying, you need to do this. The same thing they're going to do to Kamala because the voters, that's a policy that they want. And so they're going to criticize it. Weird. It's almost like fracking is terrible for literally everyone. Not literally everyone. It's good for the people making the money off of the fracking that never have to deal with any of it except collect the money.
Yeah, no, no. Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House sitting, and I was there, and Kamala stood him up. What does that say?
I think it's highly
That's
disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish
People wanted Kamala and Biden to arrest Netanyahu when he landed.
person, or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, is a very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden, and Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets. There are.
And how did that go? How was that Trump prediction, everybody? How did that go? And I stand by what I said initially when I was talking about Palestine versus Israel. Two main things. How much do you think you can force people to suffer? How many times do you think you can hit somebody with a stick before they hit you back? Israel. And second, if the goal of Hamas and the terrorists, because terrorist is just a matter of, that's a subjective matter. That's the wars are told by the victor, right? So, whether or not they're rebels fighting for freedom and they're freedom fighters and heroes, or whether or not they're terrorists is, just a matter of perspective. That's a matter of wording. But if their goal was to get attention onto what was happening between Israel and Palestine, they succeeded. They got exactly what they wanted. The same way the terrorists that attacked 9/11 got exactly what they wanted. It was a long haul, but look at how divided America is. Look at how panicked the people in America are, and how exhausted and frustrated they all are. And part of that has to do with Republican overreach. They succeeded. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, America, but for the 9/11 shit, the terrorists won. They got exactly what they wanted. You destabilized. So what are you going to do about it? And if the Hamas terrorists wanted world attention by attacking Israel, they got exactly what they wanted, because now the world is watching what is happening in Palestine and Israel. So what are you going to do about it? You tell me. You tell me.
Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it, but their shield that they built, that can be swamped. We'll use the term that's appropriate, swamped. But they swamp it by shooting enough missiles. You know this better than anybody. By shooting enough missiles, they can't defend themselves. They just obliterate the whole place.
Israel can't defend itself? Then what's the American people's budget going to? Should that be something that's cut, you guys? No, that seems to be the logical conclusion of what you were saying earlier. Not that what you were saying earlier makes any goddamn sense.
And that's what some people think they're looking to do. And we have no leadership. There's no respect for the United States of America with these people. And I'm telling you, she'll be worse than him, because she's a believer in being radical left, and he wasn't.
I think you're right. I mean, it's important.
You know what I've decided? I have decided that I am currently LARPing as alternate reality based femme Tim Pool. Yeah, now the Iron Dome doesn't exist. I don't know. It's there, it's not there. I don't know. He knows better than everybody. I don't know. None of this makes any sense.
Wonderful for the public that may be listening to this to look at Kamala's track record, before the last month, and say, is that a track record you agree with? And I think if you're an independent moderate, you definitely would not agree with it, because it is her behavior has been far left, and we're seeing just an overnight propaganda attempt to rewrite history and make it sound like Kamala's moderate when she in fact is not moderate.
Nah, pretty moderate. No, she's been pretty moderate. You could even say that some of her stuff has been a little bit to the right, such as the, war on drugs stuff, the putting people in jail for minor marijuana possession. Being a cop and all. No fucking extreme leftist is a police officer. No extreme leftist works for the fucking police. Who are you kidding?
Well, her running
that,
mate approved, signed into legislation, tampons in boys' bathrooms. Okay, now that's all I have to hear. Tampons in boys' bathrooms.
I hate to be so I live with 3 boys, 3 men. They all have to live with tampons in the bathroom. It's truly terrifying for them.
And that means she believes in that too. I mean,
that's
she
not
picked
okay.
this guy because he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite, but she picked an anti-Israel radical left person. But she is far worse, they say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as the president, I don't think our country can survive.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest.
That are ex-cops. Oh, ex-cops, definitely. Definitely. If you're an extreme leftist, and it's only a matter of time before you're an ex-cop, if you ever become a cop.
Opinion, and I think really.
I'm also being a little bit hyperbolic. Just a little bit. It's okay, guys.
It's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election, and I'm just stating my opinion. Now, you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on during this discussion that we're having, and this
Disinformation?
there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries, and what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well. They take great advantage of the United States in trade, as you know. We, through a different forum, NATO, we protect them. And yet, if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. We have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it. And that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them.
They're just mad that Europe told fucking Elon Musk that he wasn't allowed to have fucking proprietary charging cables on his fucking cars. And I wish Canada did the same thing, because fuck proprietary bullshit.
With Ukraine, so we're in for 250 billion and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. If you add up the European nations that, in terms of an economy, it's about the same size, wouldn't you say, as us? And they're in and they're in much greater risk. They're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. Used to be for the Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is they're in for 70-something million. I think even less than that, billion, and we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more. It's much.
Because that's not how it works. You can look up the policies and why which country is paying what amount, dumbass.
More important for them because of the fact that, they're right near there. I mean, they're all sort of in that location. We're not. But they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States was the United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I went in and I said, you got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer. I took a lot of heat, but you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in.
Is it amusing to anybody else that all of this is a whole lot of X to doubt, and that basically applies to all of Twitter, currently known as X? No? Does anybody else see that associate? Is that just word association on my part?
And
I think a lot of the public isn't aware of the fact that the United States pays a disproportionate share of the NATO expenses,
and then we get
even though,
taken advantage of on trade. So think about
yeah,
it.
well, I mean, the point of NATO is defending Europe, and it's
I'm sorry, what? The point of NATO is defending Europe? Huh? What? Excuse me? Can I get a... we don't have any citations. The point of NATO is defending Europe. Okay. Sure, Jan.
It's like, then, okay, well, why is the United States paying disproportionately more to defend Europe than...
Because it's proportional. Making it not disproportional, you fucking dipshit. You pay into NATO proportionally. I'm glad you were able to kind of figure that out and then still get it wrong anyway.
Europe. That doesn't make sense. That's unfair. And that is an appropriate thing to address.
Well, when you talk about cost cutting and savings and everything else, I mean, honestly, look, there's nobody that feels worse about the Ukraine situation than I do, because I know it would have never happened. I know Zelensky. He was very honorable to me, because when they went with the Russia hoax and they said I had a phone call with him, he said it was a perfect phone call. It was a great phone call. He could have grandstanded and, said, oh, he was very threatening. He said, no, it was a very nice phone call. I called him up to congratulate him on his win, and you end up getting impeached.
These are people that actively do not pay into the system that they take from. They demand everything from the system. They need the roads, they need the people, they need the electricity and the infrastructure. They need the taxes. They need the emergency services. Both of these people suck off of that and then never pay back into it the things that they take out. Literal leeches.
Because these people are lunatics.
Yeah.
I was talking about the difference from the people within and the enemies on the outside. In many cases, the people from within are more dangerous for our country than the Russias and the Chinas. If you have a smart president, you're not going to have a problem with them. You're going to do things.
Yeah.
Now, they've taken advantage.
That's not how it works. It's not, things are not predictable like that. In fact, there was a journalist who was doing traveling, and they did an interview. I wish I could remember which journalist it was. It was like a correspondent. And they had said one of the biggest mistakes that people made in dealing with Russia was they think, and with China, is applying American mentality and the way Americans view things as the way they would do things. And it's not. They're not the same. Not it's America and not America, and not America doesn't matter. No, China and Russia do not operate the same way that America does. They do not think the same way. They're completely culturally different and hold just different values. And so because those values are different, they're not going to make decisions through a thought process that fucking America thinks is a reasonable thought process. It does not work that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredibly, but you're going to do things with the right person.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false attacks.
And what are you having? What are you two doing right now besides falsely attacking Biden and Harris right now, and Harris's running mate whose name escapes me at the moment, making false attacks unfairly, misrepresenting, misinformation? You're a joke. But before he moves on, I am going to take a quick break. I'm going to get some more tea. I'm going to make a fresh one. So I'll be back in like 2 to 3 minutes. However long it takes the kettle to boil. So I'll be back. Hello. I am of the return. I'm just gonna tweak this a little bit. So it's not like... There we go. That's good, right? Viewer discretion is advised. Alright, let's... Here, get back on this. Hi, yeah, hello. Good lord. Fucking, this is so long, and it's so rambly, and it's so incoherent, and it's so just incorrect. Oh my god, how long do you guys think they're gonna keep going for?
Shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their...
He did! Donald Trump absolutely tried to inhibit the media and shut them down. By calling them terrorists, essentially. By saying that they're against democracy, that they're against the people, that they're attacking, like, just by lying about them and presenting them like they're the enemy of the public. So yes, he did. Shut the fuck up, you lying asshat. Oh no, what is this? This happened today. X ordered to pay $600,000 to fired employee who didn't click yes on email ultimatum. Remember when Elon Musk ordered Twitter staff 2 years ago to click yes in an email to promise to work in, quote, extremely hardcore mode or risk losing their job? One of those employees who didn't click yes just won a major ruling according to the Irish news service RTE with an accent. Ireland's Workplace Relations Commission, or the WRC, ruled that Gary Rooney, a former senior executive of the company known then as Twitter, was unfairly terminated when he refused to agree to Musk's email ultimatum in 2022 after 9 years with the social media company. The commission also ordered X to pay Rooney $550,000, or roughly £6, which is roughly $605,000. WRC adjudication officer Michael McNamee? I can't even read Irish. Singled out Musk's requirement to click yes as unfair because refusing to do so, quote, was not capable of constituting an act of resignation. Therefore, the company had no grounds to justify Rooney's termination, according to the news report. Musk sent an email to all Twitter's employees of November of 2022 okay, well, damn. Remember when I said that Musk is screwed specifically because of how many... Did my live chat, like, fucking stop? What the hell? There we go. I said that Musk is under so many, like, he's so screwed legally because he's going to be sued not just by, like, individual people and not just class action, but by, like, governments in multiple countries. Yeah, that. And that's just for Twitter. I mean, currently known as X, right? Anyway.
Freedom of speech. And I think that says a lot.
Well, the good thing is that you and I have, and some people, very few.
You can't say cis on Twitter. It blocks you.
We can get the word out. Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, like.
I thought you were canceled. So you can get the word out, meaning you have access to do that, meaning you're not canceled and you're not being silenced? Is the word out the N-word, by the way? Just curious.
Like, we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. She's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation.
I am currently the alternate universe female version of Tim Pool. And I'm outdoing you. That's not a good look, guys.
And he would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, where am I? Where am I going? So anyway, but no, he wouldn't have this.
That's true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but, we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that we can have a conversation, and I'm able to get it out without, because I get treated unfairly.
This is a really big point. You can actually have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
And you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like,
I have so many, like, cards, like, I have permission to use so many slurs, it's not even funny, and I can't use any of them. It's so... Thanks! This is useless. It's so sad. It's so sad. It's so depressing.
Not it's not possible.
That's
Um,
it's
I'm gonna be on my deathbed, and my last words are gonna be a string of slurs because I'm gonna use up all the cards and all the permission I was given.
so this is like talking to an NPC.
now.
So it's just
Well,
impossible.
but think of it. We need a man or person who's unbelievably sharp in order to stop all the nuclear danger and all the dangers that I'm talking about.
Like
And
you.
I got along with all these. I got along with Kim Jong Un. We had dinner. We had everything, and
Oh God, we've looped back around.
he really liked me, and I got along with him really well. By the way, he's the absolute boss over there. A lot of people said, "Oh, do you think he really?"
That's for
Let me
sure.
tell you, I saw things that you don't want to know about. He is the boss. But we had a good relationship, and he doesn't like Biden. He considers him a stupid man. He said he's a stupid man. Well, at least he speaks his mind. But in this country, you're not sort of allowed to say it. But I guess you are. You should be allowed to say it if
Yeah.
it's true. But we need really.
Huh? What? Okay. I get along with all these toxic, violent men, yeah.
We need smart people, and we need people that have an
Yeah, I have so many R slur passes, I may as well have like a stack of Uno cards.
ability to lead, and she doesn't have that ability. Can you imagine? Now,
Yeah.
Chairman Xi very well. Can you imagine her and him negotiating or
No, it's
even
silly. It would be
standing
silly.
together?
Elon hangs out with China. His buddies with China. Is that what we just got to find out right now? I mean, I feel like we all knew that, but this feels like fascists saying the quiet part out loud. This is like listening to like an American president being like, "Me and Hitler got along great." What the fuck?
It is the whole concept
Yeah.
is ridiculous. She is terrible. She's terrible, but she's getting a free ride. I
It
saw a
would.
picture of her
Yeah. Yeah.
on Time Magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing. And actually,
Yeah.
she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. She didn't look,
Yeah.
she didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman.
Camilla? Huh? What? In the fuck are you talking about? What? They're so weird. They're so weird.
So we'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah, well, maybe like I think part of what people in America want to, people in America want to feel excited and inspired about the future. They want to feel like the
It's
future is
true.
going to be better than the past, and that America is going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past, reach
Right.
new heights that make you proud to be an American, and excited about the future.
They want the
And I
American
think
dream
just
back. They want the American dream back. More important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people.
You're the incompetent people sucking the American dream out of existence. Hi, Sly. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Trump sounds like Wallace Shawn impersonating Trump in a phone booth. Have you been practicing the mush mouth for your the next time you have to sound like you have to do a Trump impression?
For running our, the Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent, and when I debated him, I was like, "Is this for real?" It was.
yeah, it was just absurd.
I do want to point out that that was Tom. Yeah, Tom said something in the chat. Real quick. There's a history of Trump and nuclear weapons. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, Trump asked then President Bush if he could help negotiate nuclear weapons deal between the US and the Soviet Union. Is that true? Ugh, unbelievable. Oh, the tangled webs we weave.
But I think there are like some grand projects that we could do. I mean, I think like we could build a base on the moon. We could send American astronauts to Mars. We
Right.
could build high speed
Yep.
connections that are more advanced than anything.
You're saying we like SpaceX didn't have a deal with the government to do the next space mission, and then that SpaceX has been falling behind and has been unable to meet its obligations. I don't think you can, Elon. I think we should just probably leave it to NASA because you're kind of just wasting everybody's time and money like a leech.
Else in the world between our cities, so people have fast transport. Um, it's possible to solve traffic with tunnels.
That's right.
We already made great progress in Vegas doing that.
Can I point though? They mentioned AI or something at some point, didn't they? Yesterday, maybe, I don't know. Can I would like to point out real quick that if you were to put an AI and input the variables that currently exist, if we were to take a snapshot of the world right now and its resources and what we have, and or even like just one country, and we'll use America because America, there's only America and not America. And you were to say, here's the resources, here's the number of people, what's the optimal way to run, there would be no billionaires. The AI would tell you, why do these handful of people have all this resource that they're never going to use? No AI would allow a gap like currently exists in America. You would never have homeless people and billionaires existing at the same time if an AI were programmed properly and telling you what decisions you need to make for a country. Never would. No way. You would have to tweak it. Even look at Grok. Grok is shitting on Elon Musk all over the place.
And and just do things that are exciting and inspiring and make the future feel like it's better than the past.
Well, I saw what you did in Vegas, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got to see. I took a big glimpse at it, and it's incredible. It's incredible, and you could do that all over. You could do that all over. It's deep.
Yeah,
you don't even need much structure. Assuming you're in the right areas.
No, it's straightforward.
It's amazing.
I think we could do some things that like China's got incredible high speed rail between its cities, but I think it's actually possible with tunnels if with deregulation with.
You're talking about subways. You're talking about subways. Yes, America could do that. Not with you at the helm, obviously. You tried and you failed because you filled it full of bullshit. So, you let somebody who actually knows what they're doing make subways, then yeah, sure. But I feel like the regulation, anybody but Musk, is a pretty fair regulation, in my humble opinion.
An ability.
And you know what that would do? It would create jobs. Guys, it would make jobs. Guys, it would be less emissions and more jobs. But yeah, his tunnels are stupid.
It actually, where it's like legal to actually do the tunnels, then you could have high speed tunnels that are actually better than anything else in the world.
You could also make them not in tunnels and just make them trains that go above ground too. You could have above ground tunnels. You can have above ground choo-choos that go places. I think that would be a great idea. Maybe you should do that. Not you two. You two can't do anything. But yeah, maybe a rail system that is, passenger based might be a good idea, and you might actually end up with more various cities between major cities with attractions, because I'm sure there are some lovely places between point A and point B that you could turn into more tourism type thing. You'd have like a thing that's like, take a train across America, see all 50 states, blah 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 blah.
High-speed transport between cities, and that would be something that Americans can say, wow, okay, we've got something that's cooler than anyone else in the world. That's the kind of thing that makes you proud to be an American.
And much safer than surface trains, where there is a danger there, with crazy people. Yeah. It's much safer, much better. And it's sad because I've seen some of the greatest trains. I find it fascinating, and I've seen the systems and how they work, and the bullet trains, they call them, I guess. And they go unbelievably fast, unbelievably comfortable, with no problems. And we don't have anything like that in this country, not even close.
Correct. America has been falling behind from its technological superiority from back in like 1969 for a very, very long time. Do you know why? Do you know why America doesn't have rail systems? Do you want to know why America doesn't have very many subways? Part of it has to do with the automotive industry. Remember when I said earlier that cities don't have to be built around the automotive industry? Canada's been putting trains in. There's cities that work together and have bus system agreements between the cities. Those are things that exist. You can do that too.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that we don't. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think also like there's I'm kind of hopping on the excess regulation, but I think something that like I think people can generally understand is that what happens with laws and regulations is that there's more and more of them every year, and unless there's a process to clean them up, eventually everything becomes
You're right.
illegal. And
I agree with that. You two are the ones causing are the type of people causing that problem, though. Fine, you want to roll things back to Reagan? Roll things back to pre-Reagan. And then reset it, and then be like, okay, well, here's the changes we want to keep, here's the changes we don't like, here's some tweaks to the changes, and roll back all those fucking tax loopholes, motherfucker. You want us to do women's suffrage again? I mean, we're already halfway there. Fine. I'll bite.
And that actually it slows down the development of new technologies. I mean, if you take the sort of like I think there's room for some reform at the FDA for
Yeah.
improving the speed with which we approve drugs that could help save lives and improve people's
Yeah.
lives. And
I worked very hard on that.
Says the fuckers that were like, don't get vaccinated.
We got that down
Yeah.
to the lowest number ever. And we got therapeutics approved in the FDA that people can't even believe the speed. But I took them on. I don't think they like me too much, but I got things approved in the FDA at numbers that they wouldn't believe. And, you know, it's a very bureaucratic group. Actually, it's a fine group of people in many cases. I got to know a lot of them, but I was pushing them really hard for Regeneron, for so many different things that were really pretty amazing. But the FDA takes too long. It's 12 years to get a product approved. I got it down to 4, and I got some things done very quickly. But it's really something that is going to have to be worked on because it takes too long. Just takes too long.
Yeah, it just takes too long, and it's you end up in the same with the approval, but it's just it takes years instead of something that I think could potentially take months, and that improves people's lives. I think I just wanted to.
Look, we have all this population. Why don't we just use them for testing? Isn't that like a Republican conspiracy theory that the government is like putting chemtrails on them and shit and using them for testing? Wasn't that a COVID thing? So they're talking about literally doing that thing? What the fuck? Can you speed up citation needed? I feel like it needs to move at Mach 5. Yeah.
So hop on this point that like there has to be an active process for reducing rules and regulations, because otherwise they just keep building up every year, and you get like hardening of the arteries, and eventually everything's illegal or takes forever, and then we just we just ossify as a society. We just
He just complained that if we do regulations like this, then everything becomes legal, and then is saying, well, why aren't things just legal?
we can't make any progress, and it's a really big
Well,
deal.
you know, Elon, just getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is where you can go in, and if you're terminally ill, you can use a space age, medicine or whatever it may be. We have the best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do. And but people would go to other countries because you couldn't use the product, even if they thought it worked, because it's going through the FDA. I got it approved
Yeah,
where you can,
yeah,
you basically, you look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability. The country didn't want it, our country, because they didn't want to get sued. These are people terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it, and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it. I got everybody into a room, and we came up with an agreement that you won't get sued. And also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and they die after taking a drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
yeah,
Okay. And as you know, we got it
yeah,
done. We have saved right to try. They've been trying to get this done for 58
yeah,
years. And it sounds simple, but it wasn't
because you're taking advantage of desperate people, and it's an ethical issue in the medical standards of the like there are ethical boards around medicine. That's an ethical problem, idiot. Just because you don't care about other people doesn't mean other people don't care about people.
you know, I mean, the insurance companies, nobody wanted it, but we got it done.
sure.
Somebody signs, you sign a document that you're not going to sue the insurance companies, the country, you're not going to sue anybody. And we got it done. And we're saving tens of thousands of lives. Right to try. Hopefully you never need it. But if you
Yeah,
do, you don't have to travel to Asia. People,
right.
if they had money, they go to
Yeah,
Asia, they go
sure.
to Europe.
Yes, he is correct. He is talking about legalizing companies experimenting on their customer base. Their desperate customer base. They literally made sure that the people that they're experimenting on are people who are desperate, who believe that they have no other choice and can be easily manipulated due to emotional distress. Correct. That is what he's bragging about. These people are unethical monsters. I gotta turn this back down. I'm sorry, it's stressing me out. I'm gonna put that back to I'm gonna get a little bit faster, but it was going at 350. I'll turn it up to 150 or 125%. There you go. It's a little faster, but ugh. Yes, actually psychotic. Actually villain level. This is something like the Scarecrow would do in Batman. This is cartoon villain from Captain Planet type shit.
If they don't have money, they go home and die. That's what happened. They'd go home and die.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, to
That still happens because you don't allow Medicaid.
to give Europe some props here, it's like if a drug is approved in Europe, which has a crazy amount of regulations, it should obviously be approved in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Is America ceding their rights or their expectations and relying on Europe then? That's what you think the American people want to bow down to Daddy Europe? Wasn't there a war about that? I think there was a war about that, wasn't there? Am I wrong? Jack for 10 says, I figured why Trump keeps talking about the, quote, the late great Hannibal Lecter. He thinks asylum seekers are people from mental asylums, let alone appearing to think Lecter is not a fictional character. Yeah. So weird. Musk stuttering is getting worse. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, they got more regulations than we do. So why would a drug be approved in Europe and not in the U.S.? That's crazy.
Well, we did it. We did something that really, they've been trying to do it for 50 years, and they just couldn't get it done, and I got it done. And it's really something. But you're right. Some people go to Europe because a drug isn't approved here, but it's approved in Europe, and it's a drug that, generally speaking, would
Yeah,
work. It's pretty crazy. You're
absolutely.
right.
And I think so long as people are properly informed of the pros and cons and these are the risks, these are these are the risks, and
Okay, and how are you going to guarantee that? And why does that matter if they're desperate, dipshit? This is, oh my god. This is the type of reason why philosophy needs to be taught in schools earlier. As in not college, as in you should be learning a little bit about logic, argumentation, and public speaking and rhetoric starting like in grade 1. Obviously not the technical jargon and like the fucking what I want to call hoity-toity space case philosophy, but like just basically understanding and breaking down arguments and ethics. Because like kids have some ethical development or very early on if you read anything or understand anything about early childhood development. So maybe we should incorporate that in younger schools. Yay! You can't be properly informed if you don't do research and destroy education. And it's almost like that generic that's going to disproportionately affect minorities and poor people because of old school redlining, a thing that they were complaining about, the education system being being funded, yada yada yada, when we were looking at it yesterday. So ultimately, the policy that Trump said that he's putting forward is going to take advantage of desperate poor people, which is going to disproportionately affect minorities. Good job, asshole.
You make your own decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I think just, in sort of...
You're not making a decision if you're giving an ultimatum where you have no other options and your only other option is to die because you can't get medical treatment otherwise. You rich fuck. Can you be more out of touch? Go live in a place that you would call a slum. You get 10 grand in your bank. Go do it. Pussy.
Closing up, and by the way, I'm looking at the numbers. You got a lot of people listening. I hope you don't get nervous because you got a lot of people listening to you right now, like 60 million or something.
60 million? There was not 60 million people listening to this. There's not even close. I feel like 60 million, for whatever reason, is just like stuck in Trump's lexicon, like about that number. And I don't know why, because like that seems to be one of the numbers he like jumps to like really quickly. I see him like that's the number he'll pull out of his ass all the time, and I'm wondering where it comes from. So like it's got to come from somewhere.
What is that number? It's crazy. It's amazing how you can see that right away. What is the number? Wow. What is it?
He's out here calling Biden delusional, and he can't read a number on the screen and thinks it says 60 million. It's literally right in front of him.
Well,
wow.
I think in terms of people
that's bigger than you said. You said 25, and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70. And
million.
I guess over a period of time. Hey, I congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not?
Well,
he's not joking. He expects us to give him money.
I think actually in terms of the number of people that will hear this conversation.
Do I get paid for this? For my suffering? Consider becoming a member. For less than 1 coffee a month, you can help and support a goblin's brain aneurysms. Thank you.
Over the next few days to weeks, it's going to be hundreds.
That's what they say. Yeah, that's good. Well, look, it's an honor. I just asked this: are you better off now, or were you better off when I was president? Nobody's better off now. People, we put out polls on that.
He asked him the question and then answered for him. Are you better off now? Everyone's better off now. Let me tell you what your answer is, little bitch boy.
And nobody's better off now. Inflation has killed it. And, they also feel very unsafe. You look at what's going on with a lot of different things. You look at the riots we had at the colleges over, it's ridiculous, but all of the riots, they just feel unsafe. And now they really feel.
There were no riots at colleges. There were protests, and then riot police showed up to beat the shit out of the faculty and the students. That's not a riot. That's militant police abuse. of protesters. Shut the fuck up. Also, free Palestine.
And say because you have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. Maybe I'll call it Kamala migrant crime.
See him trying to flip the rhetoric around? To the surprise of nobody. The riots on January 6th? Yeah, I don't know, man. When were the... Never mind. Just...
But, I mean, with all these things, I always try to get to the ground truth by just asking people. And, my mom lives in New York, and I was like, Mom, do have any of your friends, been attacked or assaulted? And she said, yes.
Mom, rich mom, do you have friends that were attacked? And by friends, I mean, do you have staff that's been attacked? Eat the rich, eat the rich.
3 of her friends in 3 separate incidents were assaulted just in recent months, just walking around the streets in New York. And I said, well, what happened to the people that assaulted them? Oh, nothing. They got away. Like, and they just know
they always get away.
He made that up.
Nothing's gonna, and they don't even bother reporting it because there's no.
How could you? What do you mean they got away and you didn't report it? Of course they got away if you didn't report it. What do you want them to do if you don't report it? You just explained exactly why they got away. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking... Can I use my R card now? Could you believe nothing happened to them? We got away, so they didn't even report it. So this thing that allegedly definitely did happen definitely has no paper trail, but trust me, bro. Uh-huh. Yeah, all right. Said the known liar.
They know that they're not going to, people are not going to get prosecuted. They just let, violent criminals out in New York.
The only one that gets prosecuted is...
Prove it. They just let violent criminals just exist in New York because, nobody's reporting the crime? What in the fuck? Do we really want to talk about the crime spikes because of the war on drugs? Like, are you...
Donald Trump. They prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obvious.
Which means that you're not getting away with crime in New York, Trump. You felon.
It's messed up.
Oh, it's terrible.
If violent criminals are being getting off scot-free, and meanwhile the
Yeah, using a term like migrant crime to just say not white people committing crime is pretty fucking racist. Pretty fucking racist.
New York spending massive resources prosecuting you, and it's like, what's this? And I think the sort of sensible public looks at this and says, what the heck's going on here? This is obviously abuse of the legal system.
The sensible public implying that anybody who thinks you're full of shit is not sensible, because you're not actually going to engage in the conversation and demonstrate your point. You're just going to say it like it's true on authority. Fallaciously.
Legal system is supposed to be protecting the public from violent criminals, and it should be obviously allowing the public to make their own decision about who should be president, as opposed to some
megalomaniacs trying to impose their bullshit narrative and lying to the public. No, not that. That wasn't what you were gonna say.
Legal case.
Once they start this precedent, because this can go on with the next.
But they still can, he's still allowed to run for president. So what are you even talking about? What the fuck?
Next one, I mean, this is a very bad precedent, what they're doing in terms of, going after their...
Oh yeah, no, Jax, you're absolutely right. There's something narratively special and satisfying about a woman with a black woman with a background in law going against Trump for the election. That is very Schadenfreude. That is very God. Oh, good lord.
Political opponent, and that's all it is. It's going after their political opponent,
Yeah.
and then you get a judge who's, a strong Democrat, and I'm being nice when I say that. In many cases, crooked as hell. But you get a judge, and you go into an area where a Republican gets 3 or 4% of the vote, and you'll have a jury pool
Yeah.
with people that hate Republicans or hate. It could
Sure.
also be the other way
Of
though,
course.
because it could start the other way in areas where they hate
Exactly.
Democrats, and you get into a
Yep.
Then don't break the law in that district, dumbass. They didn't go out of their way to choose something. That was the person in the position when you did it. Like, as if this isn't the fucking guy that's rigging the Supreme Court, right? Like, what the fuck? Thanks, Mitch McConnell, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck that guy. I hope that guy rots. Oh, who am I kidding? He's already rotting on the inside. He has been for decades.
Pandora's box is a very dangerous thing for this country, and a very dangerous thing even for the state. New York City.
I'm sorry, JD Vance called her a lizard person. Are we going deep state lizard people? Is that where we're going? Oh, good. The irony of all this immigrant shit talking while Elon is literally an immigrant. Yeah, that's because they're only shit talking immigrants that don't pass the Peter Griffin 1, 2, 3, okay, 1, 2, 3, not okay scale.
City is losing.
Yep,
New York City and state lose a lot of business over what they did to me, because these people say, we don't want that to happen to us. That's no justice system. You have an unfair system of justice, and it's cost.
Correct. The American system of justice is unfair. Would you like to talk about how it became unfair? Or why it is unfair? And would you like to talk about in what ways it is unfair and how you would change that?
Costing New York State a tremendous amount of money. People are leaving and companies are leaving, and they won't come back. So, all of that stuff is important. But the economy now is the big thing, and we can turn that economy up so fast, and people are going to be back again. We're going to get rid of inflation.
I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
if you get rid of inflation entirely, it means your entire economy is stagnant, which will kill it. That's it. No, that's not. No.
And I just want to congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. We can talk. You and I can talk about.
Or did he just say his mind is full of manure? His mind's full of shit? Oh my god.
Rockets.
Well, it's kind of you to say thank you.
Tunnels. We can talk about tunnels and rockets and electric cars. So many things.
The things that Trump said are obsolete.
And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So it's an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I congratulate you.
I mean, thank you. And I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and
Is Elon's mind as fertile as a 10-year-old girl? I'm asking for abortion rights.
Excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it. We can.
You couldn't do anything in your tenure. You failed. Good job. You had your chance. You fucked the donkey.
Do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a lot of things.
I think that's a very real risk.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
That's a very real risk.
Yeah.
And it's, I'd just like to note to people listening, like I've not been very political before, and if you look at my record, I've actually been I'm not like some they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries helping with the environment and
You're not
and
doing
I
any of those
actually
things.
I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president.
And how dare he make me, Elon Musk, do that? So get that guy out of fucking office. And I took that personally against every not white person forever.
So it's not like I'm like some sort of dyed-in-the-wool long-term Republican. I'd call myself, uh, historically a moderate Democrat, and but now I feel
You call yourself a lot of things, and a lot of those things aren't true.
like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and uh, I think a lot of people thought the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not, and obviously we're just going to see an even further level administration with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally. I mean, she was brought up as an actual. Her dad is a Marxist economist.
Her dad is a Marxist economist. Whatever fucking slave owner, South Africa, apartheid, daddy's boy. Shut the fuck up, you trust fund bitch. Both of you. Neither of you built shit. You all fucking ponying off of daddy's money. And the only reason it wasn't mommy's money is because mommy wasn't allowed to work at the time.
You can Google it. I mean, it's not a. We're not making this up.
You can Google it.
That's how she was brought up. So, and we want to have a future that is prosperous, and
we want to have a future that's prosperous. So we're going to remove inflation entirely by not over government spending, and thus stagnate the markets and destroy the economy. That's the plan here. It's almost like what her dad is irrelevant, by the way. Just a side note. Elon's got a kid who fucking hates him. It's almost like just because you're brought up in something, you're not inherently going to be that thing. It's almost like when you're brought up in something, you tend to notice a lot of the problems with that thing if you think about the way you were brought up and the things in it. So even if her dad is, it's irrelevant. What are her policies? Which is interesting because apparently Trump agrees with at least one of the policies, because apparently it was his idea.
I think we're just at this critical juncture, and I think this is a case of the America is going to at a fork in the road, and
True.
And I think it will take if the path to, like you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite. Then
lol. So, one thing's about forks in the road. The opposite would be turning around and going the other way in your analogy, you moron. A fork in the road is going different directions, not turning around and doing a U-turn. You dingus. You fucking buffoon. You goddamn moron. You suck. You're an idiot. You can't even get a fucking regular-ass analogy right. The opposite would be backwards. Dumbass. Fuck you.
and that's my honest opinion. I'm gonna get attacked like crazy, and I've also experienced quite a bit of low.
Boo.
And but I'm just trying to tell people my honest opinion, and I haven't been.
Your opinion isn't honest. Your opinion is colored by your lack of bothering to know or understand the actual thing you're opining about. And you're using that and your platforms and your reputation, which is for some reason, a lot of people still think you have a decent reputation, to manipulate people into voting for somebody. You're no different than any other fucking celebrity who's like, oh, I'm gonna back this person, who doesn't actually engage in the conversation about the politics. You're a fucking joke, dude.
Really active in politics before, And I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left. And so this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say, I think you should support um, Donald Trump for president. And I think it's actually a very important junction in the road, and we're in deep trouble if it goes the other way.
Well, I want to thank you. And, you know, I actually always did think of you as somewhat left. I must say that. So
I hate how much this sounds like they're wrapping up and we're actually gonna be allowed to leave. But I'm looking at the thing and there's still another hour and 20 minutes left. And I am so afraid.
it's
Yeah.
even more of an
Well,
honor to have
yeah.
your endorsement. I know how strong you feel about
Do you think they're just gonna circle jerk sucking each other? They're just gonna 69 the rest of the fucking time?
it. But, you know, when you think of her, San Francisco, 15 years ago, I had a great friend, Bob Tish. He said it's the greatest city in America. And now it's almost not livable there. And California likewise. And she was involved in the destruction of San Francisco and the destruction of California. And she will be involved in the destruction of
Prove
our
it.
country if people are so unwise as to elect her. And I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope the elections are going to be run honestly. And we're going to turn this country around. We're going to
If you want to talk about the functionality and the usability of like the Falcon 9 and like the SpaceX program, you have to look at all like the overall percentage, right? And whether or not you believe if the money went somewhere else, if it would have been put to better use. So like the cost effective ratio, it's a little bit more complicated than did this one rocket have any innovations in it that were useful? Yes, no. Well, is it likely that anybody else would have done it? Would it be more likely, would it have been better to X, Y, and Z? And some of those factors you would never really know, and some of those factors you absolutely would be able to discuss. But just to address something that was going on in the chat. But anyway, go on, dipshits, whatever. I feel like this part of the video needs to be put onto fucking Pornhub.
do things and we can do it fairly quickly. And we have to get rid of the criminals that have been, you know, given to us by other countries as they laugh. They laugh at us. They think we're stupid to accept these people. These are radical, stone cold killers in many cases and terrorists. And they're in our country.
You did January 6th. You literally tried to overthrow the government and democracy and the people. Elon is getting people killed at his factories and unable to meet his obligations through SpaceX, and is causing a lot of fucking space junk problems with fucking Starlink, as well as interfering with the American government's stuff going on with Ukraine, as well as the boring issue and his shitty ass fucking tunnel, as well as the tax issues, as well as the way Twitter, currently known as X, is being handled and how sued up the ass he's getting, including taking money from Saudi Arabia. Like, these people are a fucking joke. It's you. You're the problem.
By the hundreds.
You are getting people killed. Rolling back Roe v. Wade, for example, that was something that was happening because of the Republican nominations in the Supreme Court. That was you. You are getting people killed. You just don't care because they're not straight white men with money. You don't care if they're because people are poor. You don't care because the person's immigrant. You don't care if the person isn't white. You don't care if it's because the person's a minority or they're LGBTQ. You don't care if they're a woman. You only literally care about other rich white guys. Like, shut the fuck up.
Of thousands.
Yeah.
And we have to take them out.
Yeah, I mean, if I could summarize it, perhaps, you know, I think these are issues that I think most people in America
take them out, i.e. call to violence. We're going to solve the violence problem by being violent. What happened to, oh my god, will the rhetoric of violence stop in politics? It has no place in politics. I can't believe Donald Trump got shot at. We have to stop talking in a way that might be violent. These people are murderers. We need to take them out. He said to allegedly 60 million people.
Would agree with, which is that we want safe and clean cities, we want secure borders, we want sensible government spending, we want to restore both the perception and reality of respect in the judicial system, just, you know, stop the lawfare, And I think that's like, and how are those even right wing positions? I think those are just that's just common sense. And
Because you're only talking about the vagaries. Every time you start talking about the nuances and the specifics, all you do is target minorities. That's your whole shtick, which is where your shtick falls apart because it doesn't work like that. You're like the issue here ultimately is class warfare. That's what you're doing, and you're trying to manipulate people that you've purposefully made stupid to fight each other, as opposed to dealing with you, who is the problem.
that's I mean, would you agree with that?
100%. I don't understand, the whole, they call it progressive. They don't like the word liberal anymore, but call it liberal or progressive.
If that were true and what they just said was true, they wouldn't have gone out of their way to stop Kamala's bill that was recently going to go through. All right? About the border. They don't care. This is just bullshit.
I don't understand how somebody could say that it's okay for them to empty prisons into our country. And again, I told you their
Yeah,
crime rates
definitely
all
not.
over the
Wow, it's almost like nobody's saying that. I can't believe that anybody would say that this strawman that I built that isn't happening isn't okay. It is okay.
world
Yeah.
are going way down, which makes sense. In fact, the next time what we'll do is if something happens with this election, which would be a horror show, we'll meet the next time in Venezuela because it'll be a far safer place to meet than our country. Okay, so we'll go, you and I will go and we'll have a meeting and dinner in Venezuela because that's what's happening.
Oh, Trump's gonna flee the country if he loses the election with Elon Musk, and they're gonna go on a Venezuelan dinner date. You know, that might be grounds to bar Trump from being allowed to leave anywhere since he's still under investigation and still under felony charges and such. You know what I mean? I don't, no? Okay. All right, sure. Just announce that. You're gonna bring Andrew Tate there too while you're at it? What about that shaman guy? You gonna bring him too? No? Huh? I can't believe more people aren't complaining about this fake thing. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Their crime rates coming down and our crime rates going through the roof. And it's so simple. And you haven't seen anything yet because these people
Just
have
leave
come into
now
our country
then.
and
Just drop out. Just drop out and leave now. Goodbye. Goodbye. So long. See you later. Don't come back. Take your business with you. Goodbye. Go run SpaceX from Venezuela. Go on. Go take it there. Go build a bunch of shit over there. Goodbye. Go on. I don't know if Venezuela deserves this or not, but what's with the obsession with Venezuela?
they're just getting acclimated. And they don't know about being politically correct law enforcement or lack of law enforcement. And our police, I have to just
Huh?
end with this. We have great police. We have great law enforcement, but they're not allowed to do their job. They
Except when it's Kamala.
have to be able to do their
Yeah.
job without being destroyed.
Well, absolutely, and it's obviously demoralizing if you're a police officer risking your life to to arrest violent criminals who could kill you and do kill you sometimes, and then you arrest the violent criminal and then the DA doesn't prosecute and that's let the guy out.
Yeah.
Well, then like why should a police officer risk their life?
Because serving and protecting is their job, not making arrests. Making arrests is not the police's job. Their job is to serve and protect. Their job is to protect people. That has nothing to do with the way the rest of the legal system is handled. It's not like being arrested means you suddenly are actually convicted of the crime, assholes. That's literally not how the American justice system works at all. That's that innocent until proven guilty thing. So you don't agree with that? I hope Elon gets arrested for speeding.
To arrest a violent felon.
Well, even worse,
if
Elon,
nothing's going to happen.
even worse, they prosecute the police officer. They go after it and they prosecute the police officer and they take away his pension. They take away his job. He loses his family. He loses his house.
Well, I thought it was very telling, like incredibly telling, that when there was that case where sort of a gang of thugs beat up police officers. I think it was in Times
Yep.
Square in New York, and then nothing happened to those guys. They were let out, zero bail, and I think a bunch of them were given free tickets to California.
What? What the fuck are you talking about? Can we get a fucking citation on that? These are two people who think they're above the law, by the way. He's right, but for completely the wrong reasons. That's all this is. There's little nuggets of true things in what they're talking about, and then they extrapolate it and turn it into and bury it in a bunch of bullshit. Because they have to. Because if they don't turn it into bullshit, they can't come to the conclusions that they're coming to justify doing the things that they want to justify doing.
Well, what is I mean, that is a gross indignity against the United States, and that's how, I mean, this is insane. Like, have we lost all pride? How can such a thing be allowed to occur?
I've never.
What do you mean, immigrant? We've lost all pride. You're not a real American. Go back to your home.
Never seen anything. We see where they get shot. It's a very dangerous profession, but it's something they're very proud of, and they want to be able to do their job. But I've seen them get shot. I've seen a lot of things, but I've never seen where these guys are standing in the middle of a big street, everybody watching them, and they're literally boxing, like punching, stand-up fighting a police officer. There were two of them, and you had about six of these guys, and they're punching the hell out of them. And in their own country, they would be dead if they did that. They'd be shot.
Yes.
They would be shot instantly.
Does he think like all these places that are sending their violent criminals to America have police states? If they would be shot, then how would they end up in prison and then to be shipped to America? Your fucking narrative's falling apart, dude.
And they come from these countries, and it's taking them a while to realize that we don't do that in this country. But in their own country, if they stood on a street and had a fight with a police officer, they would be shot. There's no political.
I'm going to point out here that what Roden said. Can we get all about the Central Park 5 that Trump wanted lynched, who were fucking innocent? How about those Nazis that Trump said were good people that hit a woman with a car and killed her? How about that? How about January 6th? Like, this is insane. How about the fact that Donald Trump called to have his previous VP called to be hung? How about that? No? What about going after political opponents? It's not even just the political opponents that have to be concerned about Trump's, it's his fucking allies. With friends like these, who needs anemones?
Political correctness. And it's such a sad, it's such a sad thing to see. And that's the reason you have crime, by the way, because we don't do anything about it.
Yeah,
if we don't do anything about it, why are you a felon now, dipshit?
We just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops. I mean, and they're let out. This is.
What about Kyle Rittenhouse?
Unacceptable.
Well, we're going to change it, and we're going to get him.
Took a gun over borders, killed some people, got away with it.
Out of the country.
Nothing happened to him.
When I first got involved, they said you couldn't get them back to these countries. You couldn't take them back. In the case of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, some others.
Talk to me about Guatemala.
I said, really? Oh, you can't get it back? Because under Obama, he couldn't get him back. They'd fly him in, and they'd put planes on the runways in these countries so you couldn't land a plane. They'd bring him back. And the generals told me, sir, we can't bring them back. The countries won't accept MS-13 gang members. They won't accept them. And I said, really, how much do we pay these various countries in terms of economic aid, which is also somewhat ridiculous? And the answer was $750 million.
Trump is talking about trying to do the thing he's accusing other countries of doing to America by taking criminals from America and trying to ship them to other countries.
I said, good. Tell them they're in default. They're delinquent. We're not paying them anymore because they won't accept it. And you know what happened? They all called me, every one of them. They said, we would be honored to take them back, sir. We would be honored. It was so easy. But it's one of those things. And we got them back. We took in so many, the MS-13 is probably the worst gangs in the world. They're the most vicious, violent. We took them out of here by the thousands and got them out of here. And their countries took them back. And because I said, you're not getting any more economic aid. And once I said that, they were nice. They wouldn't take them back for Obama. They wouldn't take them back for anybody. And now we have a problem because we have this guy, and they don't take him back anymore with Biden because they don't respect him.
Yeah. It's just gotta be done. We just can't have whether they're citizens or not citizens. We can't have, because they won't prosecute citizens either, not just illegals. So that if it's you can't have violent.
So now it doesn't even matter if you're a citizen or not, just as long as you're not white enough. There it goes. Well, apparently taking abortion rights and getting a bunch of women killed doesn't count as violent enough. Does getting your unsanctimoniously having your workers killed in Tesla factories because of not following COVID restrictions, does that count as violent, Elon? Does your car catching on fire count as violent? Because by your standards that you're trying to put forward here, you ought to be kicked out of the country for being a violent criminal based on what you're saying here and what you're setting up. Now, I don't know about you guys, but where would you send him? And I really don't hate the idea of sending him back to South Africa and seizing all of his assets. So the American government gets Elon's assets and he gets sent with fucking nothing to his name but his reputation back to apartheid South America, and he gets fucking butt kissed. And then the people who he was taking advantage of in South Africa can decide what they want to do with him. How about that? Your robot car's running over black people because they can't recognize them? Does that count as violent? Does that count as negligence, which would be a crime, and disregarding safety regulations, which is a crime? Does that count, Elon? Do you count, by your standard, do you count as a violent criminal? How about the abuse that has been alleged by your daughter? How about that? Does domestic abuse count? How about that? Do we want to have a vote? What do you guys think? You think Elon should have his assets seized as a violent criminal and he should be sent back to Africa and he can be dealt with by the people he was taking advantage of and his family have taken advantage of there? How about that? And they can decide whether we'll wash our hands of him and they can decide what they want to do with him. That seems fair, right? I mean, if he's going to set the standard for everybody else, he should follow it, no? You don't think so?
Repeat violent offenders that are not that don't get incarcerated.
That's right.
Because they will obviously, by definition, continue to hurt people. And
you mean you? That's you. That's you continuing to hurt people because nothing ever happens to you. That's you. You're asking for this to happen to you.
And I think where part of this comes from is that there's, and I do sort of consider myself liberal in some.
Alicia said that Elon's 10 times as dangerous as any homeless person I've ever sat with in downtown Denver. Can I also point out that Elon has also harmed more people than probably the entire populace of homeless people in Denver combined?
Ways, I mean, it's just that you want to have empathy for
Right.
people. Obviously, you want to have empathy.
Oh,
for people
no, you shut the fuck up right now. You need to fucking I'm gonna pump the brakes on you right the fuck there, boyo. Excuse you. Your entire rant all the way up, your rambling nonsense with Trump here for 5 hours, which is what we're up to, is completely lacking empathy. You're talking to Donald Trump. The context of you having the audacity to bring up empathy is actually fucking disgusting. Actually very gross. Actually go fuck yourself all the way around. All the way around. Forever. Fuck off. I don't think so. Absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. Nope. I rejected. Nope. Denied.
Totally agree with that. You want to have empathy, but you also have to have empathy for the victims of the criminals. And if you just have empathy for the criminals, it's actually shallow empathy. It's not real. You're not thinking. You have one layer deep empathy.
Huh?
You got to say, like, what if you don't incarcerate this person? Who are they going to hurt? Who are they might kill someone. They might rape someone. If you don't incarcerate them, you have to have empathy for the victims.
My brother in Christ, that does not mean that you treat prisoners in your prison system like slaves. That's saying that there's things wrong with the system and it needs to be fixed doesn't mean you don't care about the victims of the crime. These are completely unrelated. These are two different things. I hate that, and it's stupid and I hate it. Hold on, I have a thing. Hold on, I gotta. Did I download that? I need. You know what? Give me a minute. I need a minute. All right, I need a minute. A minute. Okay, minute. Did I download that? Please tell me I downloaded that. Did I not download it? Son of a bitch. Hold on. If I didn't download it, I'm gonna go download it. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. A minute. A whole minute. I just need it. I need it. Okay. It's important, and I need it. Oh, I did that one. I need it. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Just hold on. Just fucking give me a minute. Just give me I gotta scroll. Hold on. I gotta go. I gotta get this. No. Just give me. Hold on. Just a minute. Just hold on. This is important. I promise. It's for me. Okay, I need this. Just hold on. Give me just a second. Hold on. I'm almost there. It's very important. This is very, very, very important, and I just gotta get this. I could have sworn I had it before. Apparently I didn't. Hold on. There we go. It's very important, okay? It's very, very important. Here we go. Are you ready?
Agree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it. By the way, I hate it. I think it's dumb and I hate it. And I think that it's dumb and it's stupid. I think that it's stupid.
I'm playing it again.
I disagree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it. By the way, I hate it. I think it's dumb and I hate it. And I think that it's dumb and it's stupid. I think that it's stupid.
That thing. That. Very that. Much that. All that. Welcome back from your appointment. I hope it went well for you.
And there's a lack of empathy for the victims of the criminals, and too much empathy for the criminals. It doesn't make sense. That's why you want to have deep empathy for society as a whole, not shallow empathy for criminals.
Right. And
I disagree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it. By the way, I hate it. I think it's
I hate it, and it's dumb, and I hate it.
we have to give our police officers the dignity and the respect that they deserve. And we have to let them do their job. They can do a great job, but we have to let them do their job. And if we don't do that, it's going to all disappear. There's never been a society like this where you're allowed to do anything you want and nothing happens. And I'm talking about violent crime. And it's going to get more violent because these are really, really violent people. And we're going to get them out of our country, and we're going to get them back to because they were sent here by the presidents and by the various people that run those countries. And I know every one of those guys. And they're smart people, and they're streetwise people. And they really think that the USA is stupid. They think we're run by stupid people, and they happen to be right. But when I was there, we had no problem. We got them out. We took out thousands of MS-13 gang members. We brought them back. And now, again, it's the same old story. We don't do it. And they actually gave them a big increase in aid. They raised it up to billions of dollars, and they get nothing for it. So,
Yeah, generic. I'll put it in memes. I'll put it in memes. There you go. It's in memes. You just download it straight from there. Where was the empathy when you fired half of the Twitter staff? Yeah, I don't know. You mean that he's getting sued for now? That he owes, what was that? 500 million? 600,000, sorry. 600,000, I believe the number was, if I'm remembering correctly. But, that was linked in the chat, so you can go find that. And we talked about it, so you know.
I hope everybody's going to vote for Trump, and we're going to get this country straight.
Yeah.
And I didn't need this. I didn't need this. I had a very nice life. I didn't need to go through court systems.
Yes, you did. You needed to because you committed crime, and you needed to be given the opportunity to attempt to prove your innocence, which is the way the American court system fucking works, you goddamn bonobo. Like, what are you talking about? You're just mad because you lost. I'm gonna put this on the screen over my face. I feel like this needs to be on my head. Oh, I can't. Oh, it's not there. Why are you there? Oh, it's so sad. Oh well. I was gonna put the angry moon from Zelda on top of my head.
Go through all the other stuff and run at the same time. I have to run. I have to go through.
No, you don't. Go away. You don't have to. Biden stepped down. So can you. You don't have to. Just stop. Just don't. Just not is an option. In fact, I think a lot of people would be happy about that, and the election might actually be closer if you did.
Fake trials with, in some cases, corrupt judges, totally corrupt judges. I didn't need it. I had a nice life. I have great locations. I have beautiful oceans that I have places. This was, but I felt it was important. And if I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again, because this is.
He's just saying, he's explaining right now, Trump is explaining right now to Elon Musk publicly that he intends on doing it again, meaning trying to do January 6th again if he doesn't win, which means trying to fraud the election, which means even if he gets the presidency, he's going to do it again. Even if he doesn't, he's going to do it again. He's telling you out loud what he's going to do. He's saying out loud that he's going to continue to commit the same crime he's already been convicted of.
So much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down. And these people are bad people that we're running against, and they're liars. They make statements. They do things that are so bad. They say they're going to make a strong border. They say they've been great on the border.
Your Republicans were the ones who voted against the tougher border restrictions that were proposed by Kamala because they were proposed by Kamala, not because they were good or bad border restrictions. Jackass.
And they've been the worst in history. They say they're going to stop crime.
The facts speak for themselves.
It's so incredible.
Speak for themselves. Like it's got to the point where people just don't even bother reporting crime in a lot of cities because they know nothing is going to happen. That's what I hear anecdotally from people all the time.
That's what I hear from people anecdotally all the time. What people? Who are you talking to, Elon? Who are you talking to? Who's around you that you're having these very high intellectual conversations with? Who's your friend that's the one that disagrees with you, huh? Yeah, uh-huh.
So, it's just, my values, I'm just saying to people out there, like the things I think are important for the future is like, we've got to have safe cities, we've got to have secure borders, we've got to have sensible spending, and we've got to have, deregulation. And
I want to point out, I don't know if I was clear about this, tax cuts are a net negative for the government. So if the government cuts taxes for billionaires, that is a net negative, which would count as its spending. Jackass. You're the fattest fat to trim.
And
and the thickest, because you're dumb.
So we can have a prosperous future, and then we want to have some exciting, sort of moonshot projects that people can get fired up about. And that's the future I'm looking for. And I'm pro-environment, but I'm not against. I'm not like, I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry because they're keeping civilization going right now.
That's not happening.
And but I do think we want.
That's not happening, and that's not true.
To move, at a reasonable speed towards a sustainable energy economy. Those are my values, and I think, and so I mean that's why I'm supporting you for president.
Well, so. I appreciate it. We're going to give incentive to companies to come into our country, not to leave our country. We're going to be giving tremendous incentives. We want companies to build here, not to build in other locations. And we want to create jobs. And again, it's about the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore, Elon. You don't hear. You're the American dream in the truest sense, but you don't hear about the
No, he's fucking not.
American dream anymore. And you're going to hear about it. People, they need that incentive to go out and do it. And they're going to love their lives. I mean, they're going to look forward to getting up in the morning and going to a job that they love, not a job that they can't stand, or not any job at all where they have no money, where they literally have no money.
Yes, you mean like a Tesla building? Like a Tesla manufacturing plant? Famous for its good treatment of its workers and the excitement that their workers have to be there. Or working for Twitter, formerly known as X. I mean, currently known as X. Soon to be formerly known as X. Huh? What about that? No? No? What about working at a Trump hotel? How about one of those? No? Not that either? It's really ironic Or it's not ironic. It's really hypocritical and stupid for these two fucking munchkins to be talking about workers having good workplace environments with both of them famously have shitty workplace environments.
And then they end up with violence and lots of other problems. No, we're going to do some great things. And I learned a lot in the first. We had a great economy and all of that. We rebuilt the military. We did so much, but I also learned the best people. I learned the good people, the smart people, the dumb people, the people that can do things, the people, you learn.
Is that why you had such a high turnover rate for the people working for you, jackass? If you did, how could you possibly do good under those circumstances? You're the... Ugh.
When I first came in, I tell people I was in Washington, D.C. only 17 times, according to the fake news media. I was in 17 times. I never stayed over. And you don't know people. You rely on other people to give you names, and then you realize the people you relied on weren't so good. Now, we had great people, but we also had some where I wouldn't have, used them had I known. Now I know everybody. And I think we're going to really turn things.
Then what was all those promises that we have the best people, we have the great people, they're the best people? So that was a lie. Okay. I mean, yeah. Rebuilt, the military was already bloated. Yeah.
Around fast. We have no choice, otherwise we're not going to have a country. And
Alicia makes a really good point. Stop trying to take credit for the economy that Obama left you. This is what happens. This is what happens every fucking time. The liberal or the left-leaning or the centrist, I guess for America, government gets the economy in a really good spot, and then it goes to shit as soon as a Republican takes over, screws it all, then blames the left for doing it, until everybody gets frustrated enough that they kick the Republicans out, and the fucking Democratic Party or the Liberal Party has to do it all again. That's literally what's happening right now in Canada. The Liberal Party's been the Liberal and the NDP Party have been working their asses off, getting our economy back on track. They've been doing a good job, and the right and the fucking Conservative Party's like, fuck them, but bread is expensive. And it's like, that's not. It takes time for the policies to start working. So that way, then if Polyev fucking gets in. By the way, I was pronouncing his name wrong because I was only reading it, and so somebody corrected me. Thank you. So I went and listened to people saying it out loud. I was like, oh, Polyev, not Polyev. It's Polyev. He's gonna go in, then take credit for it, destroy it all, use it all up until people get annoyed enough at him, and it'll be like 7 years of fucking destruction that's gonna have to be undone, and the fucking people will expect him, the Liberal government or the NDP government, to do it in a matter of like 2 years and be like, well, why isn't this fixed yet? And it's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, yeah, and the answer is yes. The answer is people having short-term memories and being easily manipulated.
Really appreciate this. Has been, to me, it's been a lot of fun being with you. You're an amazing guy. You've done an incredible job.
We're back to they're still talking like they're going to be done, and there's still an hour left of this recording.
And a great inspiration to people, a great inspiration. And I hope you keep going and just continue to do well. And we're going to have a big election coming up. And I think November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. I think that election will be the most important election. And I think it'll end up being maybe the most important day in the history of our country.
That's what you said last time. And is it because you're going to try and start a civil war again? You fuck. Fuck you.
Yeah. We don't win. I just feel so sorry for everybody.
Which, by the way, he already said he was going to do in this. He said he was going to do it again, and he would do it again. So, yeah, he's planning on trying to start a civil war and January 6th takeover riots again if he doesn't get elected.
No, I think we're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization.
We're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization. I'm 14 and this is deep. Fuck you.
And I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path. So I think that's what it comes down to.
Thank you very much, Elon. It's a great honor, and we'll do it again sometime. And it's been really fun, and I hope you got a lot of viewers. I hear you got a lot, but I hope
there's so many viewers. I bring the biggest crowds.
I know you got a lot of them. So I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
Oh my God, is he leaving?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Are we free?
Thank you, Elon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Did Elon not do a sign off of the stream? Are we free? Are we out? Did we do it? Oh my god, it's just it's an hour of dead air. I love that the owner of fucking Shitter doesn't know how to run a space on his own fucking goddamn website. We're free. We did it. You know what? I'm proud of us. I think we did a good job. I don't know, has I believe CNN. Oh wait, hold on. Let's do our here is our summation. I'm gonna go ahead and call it that. I'm gonna call it, here's our summation. Here's our rating of like how well they did, right? Right?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Well, I hope everybody was able to survive. We made it to the end. Thank you, everybody who was able to join me on this wild bullshit slush ride. It's like the Flume, but instead of being a fun water park, it's a septic tank. Great. Gross. I hate it. But we're free! I thought there was gonna be a whole nother hour. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, did you guys actually want to hear the music that plays at the beginning of this? I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna play it super low. Like, it almost sounds like clown music. Speed it up a little bit. Make it a little bit of a polka. Anyway, this was awful. They're wrong. It's full of misinformation. If I'm not mistaken, Elon, let me double check, because I'm pretty sure Elon got, in trouble for this. Elon Musk isn't stopping misinformation. He's helped it. Elon Musk and X become the biggest purveyors of online misinformation. The tech billionaire always had a problem with telling the truth, and now he has an entire social network built on lies. Now, I believe he was charged, was he not? EU charges Elon Musk for letting disinformation run wild. So this is from Politico. Let me see if I can get this on screen for you guys real quick. Let me just minimize that. Let's just go here, here, here. Here, change this to this? Maybe? Yeah, here we go. And then we're gonna switch to this. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of hope. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. So, cause I don't want to leave you guys with like garbage, nothing but garbage, right? So this is Politico. I'll give you guys the link so you guys can check it out at your own leisure, as you see fit. Let me give you the link. Sorry. Here you go. Here you go. Well, you can always catch the replays if you think you missed anything. The European Union is calling Elon Musk to order over how he turned social media site X into a haven for disinformation and illegal content. Remember how he said, like, violent crime and violent criminals should be kicked out of the country? The EU, you cannot tell me that the disinformation on X has not led to violent crime, because it absolutely has. The EU Commission on Friday formally charged X for failing to respect EU's social media law. The platform could face a sweeping multi-million euro fine in a pioneering case under the Bloc's new Digital Service Act, or DSA, a law to clamp down on toxic and illegal online content and algorithms. Musk's X has been in Brussels' crosshairs ever since the billionaire took over the company formerly known as X in 2022. X has been accused of letting disinformation and illegal hate speech run wild, roll out misleading authentication features, and blocking external researchers from tools to scrutinize how malicious content on the platform spreads. The European Commission oversees X and 24 of the world's largest online platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and others. The EU's executive probe into Musk's firm opened in December 2023 and was the first formal investigation. Friday's charges are the first ever under the DSA. Infringements on the DSA could lead to fines up to 6% of X's global revenue. That's fucking smart. If you're going to punish on money, you need to do it on a percentage basis. Absolutely. The EU, this is from the Washington Post article from 1984, quote, ellipses, and perhaps one day fulfill his fantasy of becoming the U.S. negotiator of nuclear arms limitation talks with the Soviets. Oh, that's what I asked for a citation for earlier for Trump being interested in nuclear stuff. Yes, thank you, Tom. Thanks for coming back with that. See, we do citations here. The EU said X's blue checks policy was deceiving and had been abused by malicious actors. The checks were initially created as a way to verify users like government officials, public figures, and journalists in an effort to limit misinformation, but Musk changed that policy, allowing users to buy blue check accounts. The new policy has been abused by fraudsters to impersonate U.S. politician Hillary Clinton and author J.K. Rowling, among many other celebrities. The platform also didn't respect an obligation to provide a searchable and reliable advertisement repository and limited access to its public data to research, the commission said. X will now have a right to defend itself against the charges and propose measures to alleviate the EU's concerns. The commission said it continues to investigate if X breached rules connected to the spread of illegal content and took sufficient measures to limit disinformation. Illegal content, by the way, is CP. There is and was a shitload of child porn on Twitter, Elon. Does spreading and harboring fucking child predators count as violent crime? I would say so. Which means you should fucking get kicked out of the goddamn country according to your own fucking policy. Your own fucking ideas. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go back to fucking Africa and let the African people decide what they want to do with you after you abuse the fuck out of them. The EU said he's just like you're Scar and you're getting kicked off of Pride Rock and you get to get eaten by the hyenas. The EU so far launched investigations under the DSA into companies including AliExpress, Meta's Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok over alleged problems like insufficient consumer protections and addictive algorithms. So there is hope. There is hope that social media might actually make a turnaround one day. Hooray! So I wanted to end on something a little bit positive after that fucking cesspool of garbage. But thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this and want more, come and join me here. There is not going to be a Dumbfuck Friday this week. Monty needs a break and I have to finish up some setup stuff for next week. So that will get a break. There is no stream on Saturday, but we will be back next week. We're going to get back to drawing. That's going to be fucking great. I am so excited. So I will see you over there on Twitch if you're interested in that. You're going to get more commentary stuff here. So if you have something you want me to cover, let me know. Feel free to join the Discord. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good shit. Take clips from this and share them around if you think I said something based enough for you. And Fem alternate reality Tim Pool is getting out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been I was going to say this has been a lot of fun, but this was kind of painful. Thank you for sticking through it with me for 2 days. I appreciate and I love you. I hope you all have a good night and a good weekend, and I will see you next week. Okay? Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the chats and the replays down below. Goodbye.